ultrasoundscanclinic.com for more details, or find them on Facebook or Instagram.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of a butcher cutting through his costs. A tech company developing their sustainability plan. And a brewery getting production flowing nicely. It's all in a day's work for small businesses all across Ireland. So whatever your business, your local enterprise office is here to help you save time, money and energy. To see how, visit allinadayswork.ie. Brought to you by your local enterprise office and supported by Enterprise Ireland and the local authorities. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Who did that? Who did that noise?
That milk's still in date. I was muted on that call, wasn't I? Am I after losing my car keys?
Most things we worry about never happen. And with Liberty Insurance, you can worry less about things that do. Especially when right now, you can get a €40 retail voucher if you buy your car insurance with Liberty Online. So you're free to worry about literally anything else.
Did I send that to the entire group chat?
Or not worry at all. Less worry, more liberty. €40 voucher offer is valid for new private car policies only. Purchased before January 31st, 2024. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Liberty Seguros Compañía de Seguros Area Seguros S.A. Trading as Liberty Insurance is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pensions Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
You like to spice things up.
What did you do there? No, hold on.
Don't you blame me, sunshine?
No, you did that.
No.
You didn't stop.
I did.
You didn't?
No, I did. I mean, you could go out to the car park at 4 o'clock, but I'll be...
You're not being honest now. You didn't stop.
Honestly, no, this is a waste of...
You were too busy chatting. Who was the lady you were chatting to before 9?
Oh, Bridget, she's
You're
great.
too busy chatting Bridget to fix the
No,
computer.
fairness. Now I'll discuss off air. But come here, how are you? What's no serious point? And what's this Jocelyn crack? Is, do you know, 6 o'clock this evening's build up to it, or what is it?
It's a storm, man.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as bad as Isha. We're going on Isha. But the problem is, you know, there's some trees that are sort of a wee bit ready to go, some poles ready to go. So I would still be pretty cautious out there. But listen, we haven't seen anything like Isha for a long time. But still. And lots of people without power. There's some people won't have power back till Thursday.
That's wicked.
Can you imagine?
Sure, there's Woodlands and there's Rathmullen and there's different pockets throughout the northwest. It's just
and there's people too. Like I was chatting to a couple of people online who, and listen, I recognise the ESB are doing the best they can, but they're on. They've got sleep apnea. Do you know the iPad machines? That run on the power, and it's completely throwing off their ability to sleep or relax.
Well,
so
there is a battery in them, but they only last so long.
Well, that's exactly it. You know,
and then how do you charge them up? It's like your phone. So it has a lot of stuff. Do you know when they're... You know, we don't even know.
We're so reliant on power, aren't we? But anyway, hopefully, as I say, the ESB crews are doing what they can do. But the extent of the problems across Donegal, across the country, were so huge. We escaped it, astonishingly. Our power stayed on, and normally if a crow does a bang bang, it goes off. But
I was saying earlier, Greg, our power came on at 6 o'clock yesterday, right? And it was like I was boiling a saucepan of water to make gravy for Noah's potatoes, right? The lights came on. I thought, God, it was like winning the lotto was just for that second. You go, God, it's great. And then I realised, and I don't have to, had the saucepan going with the gas, right? And I says, I don't have to do this anymore. I can boil the kettle. And then Noah, he went into the bathroom. He says, the lights are working. And he says, look, even the bathroom lights working. And I says, the electricity's on. That's great. You know, the simple things, you know. So I feel for anybody that doesn't have it. Yeah, and I hope it gets on soon for them. All right. Good job. Right?
You're right there. Thanks very much, Lee. Okay, it is a couple of minutes past 9, but it's all good. It's all still part of the same show. Let's get the news update now with Donna Marie Doherty at, as I say, just after 9. Hi, Donna Marie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The country is facing a second named storm in just a matter of days, with an orange wind warning to hit Donegal this evening. Jocelyn is set to bear down across Ireland today, with the potential for more damaging gusts and travel disruption. An orange level warning will come into effect in Donegal, Mayo and Galway from this evening, while other areas will be impacted by yellow alerts at various times. Joanna Donnelly from Met Éireann says we're in for another windy day.
But those strong winds are really going to affect many parts of the country right through this afternoon. And we'll be particularly looking inland in the middle of the afternoon, you know, from around lunchtime onwards. So when you're out and about picking up the kids, around that time, we'll see strong winds across the centre of the country. Now, the orange level winds coming a little bit later into the west and northwest, but strong winds. It's going to be a very windy day all day.
As the clean-up from Storm Isha continues, 57,000 premises are still without power. Over 60 of the outages remain in Donegal. Power restorations will be carried out today and tomorrow in the county, with the longest estimated repair time scheduled for Thursday. Around 800 premises will be affected in Donegal. 178,000 homes, businesses and farms have been reconnected since yesterday, but Brian Tapley from the ESB Networks says there's still a lot of repair work for the crews to do.
Unfortunately, we still have 57,000 homes, farms and businesses without power this morning. So crews are kind of gathered and ready to go again this morning, and with additional crews kind of moved into the most affected areas, in particular the northwest, in particular Donegal, Mayo, Leitrim, Sligo and also Cavan have been particularly badly impacted by the storm. So a busy day ahead.
710 residential buildings were under construction in Donegal during December last year. In the 12 months prior, 613 new residential address points in the county were added to the Geodirectory database. Donegal recorded a vacancy rate of 9.2% for December 2023, while the national average was 3.9%. The highest residential vacancy rates continues to be found in the west of the country, with Leitrim at 12% recording the highest rate and Dublin having the lowest at 1%. Dara Keogh is CEO of Geodirectory and says both figures are signs of a non-functioning housing market.
We see that Dublin has the lowest vacancy rate at 1%, and then we see that Leitrim has the highest vacancy rate at 12%. So in a real functioning housing market, you're probably looking for a vacancy rate in and around 4, 5, 6%, something like that. So Dublin is probably a little bit too tight, and somewhere like Leitrim still has room for people to take up this space.
Government is finalising plans today to protect the use of notes and coins. The measures is being signed off by Cabinet, and it will mean all supermarkets, convenience stores and pharmacies would have to accept cash as the goods they sell considered essentials. The use of physical cash has fallen from 20 billion from before the pandemic to 13.5 billion in 2022, while ATM usage has declined by almost 45%. For weather today, it will be wet and windy as Storm Jocelyn tracks to the northwest. Very strong and gusty southwesterly winds will develop through the day, with the strongest winds on coasts. There will be widespread rain during the morning and afternoon, followed by scattered showers in the evening. Highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 10 o'clock.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning to you. 6 minutes past 9, Tuesday the 23rd of January 2024. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show. How are you all keeping out there? I do hope you're very well. Indeed, it was a strange old show yesterday because we didn't really properly get on air till after 10 and not able to provide as much information perhaps as I personally would have wanted to. But anyway, listen, we were all affected by that storm, and as we said, there's another one on its way. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on there. As I said to Lee just beforehand, hopefully not as bad as the one that came before, but still there's a lot of vulnerable infrastructure there that could be disrupted. So we'll have to be careful again if we are out on the roads this evening. Okay, we'll keep you up to date with all of that, everything that's happening, as we always do here on the 9 till Noon Show. Just to remind you, if you want to pass on any information, pass on any comments, any views, raise an issue with us, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. If you're outside the Republic, 0035386 60 25,000. You can give us a call too on 074 91 25,000. That's 074 91 25,000, or email comments at highlandradio.com. And just to remind you that if you are, perhaps you work from home or you're in the house during the day, you can watch us on your big screen. You know, it's no point watching them discussing some stuff on some other channel about some other far off country. We'll keep you up to date with what's happening here across Ireland and beyond. You can open up the YouTube app on your smart TV or your Fire Stick and type in Highland Radio Ireland. Boom, we're live. Good to have you. Or you can take us on that app with your mobile devices as well. And we're on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport. So no excuse not to stay with us. Okay, let's run through the newspapers for this Tuesday morning. And we'll start with the Irish Independent. And a lot of people out there very keen to see cash to remain the king, as they would see it. And in fairness to this government, and one minister in particular, they seem to determine to secure its future in that regard. Though I do note that... I do note, and I don't want to be negative, that the obviously the Donegal are playing Cork in the league, and it's cash only. It's ticket. You have to buy your tickets in advance. No cash on the turnstiles at all, which is really quite unfortunate. And my understanding is, and I'm open to correction unless things have changed, my understanding is that the counties can take cash for the league games. And return it to headquarters if they want to. I was watching a Public Accounts Committee meeting, and I am almost 100% certain that someone in the GEA said that there is that ability if they want to do it. Now, we heard from the new chair of the GEA that there's an issue in terms of governance and accountability and all that kind of stuff. Not an issue, but to ensure that the highest standards are met. I get that, but it just seems to be another season starting. It's prior advance ticket purchases only. So if you're an older person and you don't have access to your local wherever the tickets are available, or if you can't go online, you can't just go up to the game and pay to go in and watch Donegal v Cork. Isn't that quite disappointing? But anyway, as I say, in fairness to the government, they get a lot of criticism, but they do seem to want to retain cash. Grocery shops and pharmacists will have to accept cash as part of a new plan to keep physical money in the economy. Supermarkets, convenience stores and pharmacies will have to take cash under law changes resulting from public consultation of the National Payment Strategy, which is currently underway. It comes as third-party companies which operate ATMs may be forced to have 10 or 20 euro notes available, as the central bank will have power to set and impose rules on them. Banks will be forced to keep specific numbers of ATMs in certain regions under plans being signed off by Cabinet today. There will have to be a minimum number of ATMs per 100,000 people, and the proportion within 10 kilometres of an ATM or a cash service such as banks or post offices. The responsibility for keeping the designated number of ATMs will be with the three main retail banks, AIB, Bank of Ireland and Permanent TSB. This under plans from Finance Minister Michael McGrath. Now, obviously, the two banks closed, Ulster Bank and the other bank's name escapes me. It'll come to me in a moment. But so obviously there's got to be a certain loss of ATMs. Well, the government is saying that the banks that are still in the market, the responsibility falls on them to ensure there are adequate ATMs per head of population. The new access to cash laws will aim to keep the number of ATMs at the same levels as they were in December 2022 to coincide with the retail banking review. Meanwhile, grocery shops and pharmacies will have to accept cash as part of laws imposed later on this year. In the West, 96.8% of the population is within 10 kilometres of an ATM. The figure stands at 97.8% in the Midlands and 99.1% in the South East. Now, of course, being within 10 kilometres of an ATM doesn't tell the full story. We know there can't be one on every corner. But hopefully that satisfies a lot of people out there who are concerned about the future of cash and their cash being used. On to the Irish Times, or accepted. The Garda investigation into the murder of Sophie Toscan de Plantier will still result in a file being sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions. Despite the death of chief suspect Ian Bailey, Garda sources have insisted. Sources said the DPP would still review the file and decide on whether charges would have been pursued if Mr. Bailey, who died of a suspected heart attack last weekend, was still alive. They said they believe the DPP's office would make a final determination on Mr. Bailey as chief suspect after a Garda review of the case was fed into the criminal investigation. Now, I don't know whether Mr. Bailey was responsible for that murder or not. But that being said, he is dead now. He's passed away now. And I suppose if the DPP says, well, that was the person we were going to pursue and there's no other lines of inquiry, well, that's that case closed and it sits on him from then on. Whether that's right or wrong, as I say, I don't know. That being said, at least one, if not both of the documentaries did throw up other scenarios, other people of interest. Are they going to be pursued, or is that it now? That they can say, well, listen, it was Mr. Bailey, we believe it was. We would have preferred charges on him. End of story. So it remains to be seen. Have you a view on that? 086 60 25,000. Well, this source added a final decision by the DPP had the potential to offer closure to Ms. Toscan de Plantier's family and for widespread public concern, especially in West Cork, to be allayed. So, again, as I say, if it is stuck on him, whether it was him or not, it makes it all go away, doesn't it, from an authority's perspective, and it gets the French off the Irish government's back as well, because they were for a long time saying, look, we believe it was he. Can you extradite him? And the Irish government declined to. Perhaps some good news in terms of illness diagnosis on the front of the Irish Daily Mail. A simple blood test can detect Alzheimer's disease up to 15 years before symptoms begin, which experts say will revolutionise diagnosis. A major trial found the test, which is already commercially available, was as accurate as the gold standard for diagnosing Alzheimer's. For the first time, doctors were able to say if a person had a high, medium or low chance of having the disease, ruling out the need for further invasive procedures. It is set to make Alzheimer's as easy to detect as issues such as high cholesterol. The HSE estimates there are currently 64,000 people with dementia in Ireland, and by 2045, that number is likely to be 150,000. Patients could expect results within days of visiting their GP rather than the years it currently takes to get a diagnosis, which I suppose that does, it all sounds very positive in terms of, management or awareness or what have you. So hopefully that's one of those stories that is as important as it reads. On to the Irish Daily Star now. The state is over-reliant on tourist accommodation and is using 20% of available beds across the country for refugees and asylum seekers, the industry has claimed. It's been suggested that the use of beds in hotels, B&Bs and other types of tourism beds is costing the industry €1.1 billion. The government has been using hotel beds for both Ukrainian refugees and asylum seekers over the past number of years as part of its emergency response to the growing number of arrivals. Elaine Fitzgerald-Kane, chair of the Irish Tourism Industry Confederation, told RTE that the government is over-reliant on tourism accommodation to house refugees. Obviously, the statistics show that for every €1 spent by on tourism accommodation, it results in $2.50 in auxiliary spending. So it's not just the tourism sector. I presume retail and other areas are losing out. They say it's 20% nationally. It's much greater right across this county that we're broadcasting from, Donegal. I think it was at one point over 50%. It would be interesting actually to get an update on those figures, I think. This is one of those stories that I think it's very important that it's being covered, and anyone living in a certain environment in this country deserves not to. So this is in no way saying that, these people shouldn't be getting the attention and what have you that they are. But as I read this story and as I was listening to this story, it's incredibly reminiscent of the situation here in Donegal, particularly people living in houses with defective concrete. The houses are cold, they're hard to heat, there's a significant issue with damp, there's a significant issue with rising damp, black mold and what have you. We spoke to the top guy in terms of respiratory good health or treatment in this country, and he said particularly children, older people, anyone that are living in those properties with black mold on the walls, cold, damp environment, they are far more likely to suffer from respiratory illnesses such as asthma and what have you, or it could exacerbate what they already have. There was never, I don't think, an official study done into that. This is anecdotal. We know it, but as I say, it's kind of somewhat anecdotal. But there's been a study, and it'd be very interesting if GP's practices in Inishowen did something similar to this. And I know it's not just in Inishowen, but that's perhaps where the strongest concentration of people living in bad houses is. But anyway, down to Dublin, and I don't begrudge them the coverage. I would just like to see something similar done up here. Residents living in Oliver Bond flats in Dublin have doubled the chance of catching respiratory diseases because of mould in the properties a new study has found. A Trinity College report analysed data from GP practices of respiratory illness in Oliver Bond House, one of the largest and oldest complexes in Dublin City, against nearby addresses. And the study found respiratory ill health occurred at roughly double the rate compared to elsewhere in D8. I wonder, are there any courses or even maybe transition year courses or whatever it might be, because it doesn't seem the state will do it, that could maybe contact GPs in Inishowen? How would you find out if the clients had defective concrete or not? I don't know, but I would say the same situation would arise here, that people living in these cold, damp mouldy houses are at least going to be the same as those in Dublin, twice as likely to suffer from ill health, respiratory ill health, which can stick around. If a young person's lungs are affected in that way, it can harm them even after they come out of that environment. Finally, to the Irish Daily Mirror, crash attack hero Leanne Flynn Keogh is now out of hospital. She confirmed that she left the Mater Hospital in central Dublin just before Christmas. It came after she suffered serious injuries in the assault at Gaelscoil Colashtamura on the city's Parnell Square East, November 23. Ms. Flynn Keogh and 3 children suffered injuries in the attack. A 5-year-old girl still in hospital recovering from her injuries, but the 2 other children were released on the night of the attack. Ms. Flynn Keogh spent a week in intensive care following the attack and was transferred then to the high dependency unit before being released in time for Christmas, which is positive news I just wanted to bring to you. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show here on your number one, Highland Radio. We'll be back with our first guests on the programme after we take a very quick break. Stay right where you are.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Because we're getting older, they feel we shouldn't have rights. So stand up and be counted, look after the older people. And this country would flourish if they did, because our expectations, our enthusiasm, our knowledge, our experience, what we've gone through can all be so reflected on young people and make them feel stronger.
Learn more about ageism in Ireland at ihrec.ie from the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission. We're all human. We're all equal.
LK Bikes now ready for Bike to Work 2024. Use your bike to work benefits for bikes and safety equipment, including e-bikes, up to the value of €1,500. Visit our showroom to explore a comprehensive selection of e-bikes, leisure bikes, road bikes and mountain bikes. Available for you to try out or shop online at lkbikes.com with free nationwide delivery. LK Bikes, Letterkenny.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Well, the time is just turned 22 minutes past 9 and you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. I'm joined on the programme now by Kieran. Hi, Kieran. Thanks so much for taking the call today.
How you doing? Yes.
I'm okay, Kieran. Right, so talk to me about this call that you received.
Oh, I got a call from, he's actually a neighbour of mine, but he was working in Letterkenny. His mum lives down the bottom of my laneway, and she had her TV exploded in the house and knocked her across the floor. So he wanted me to pop in. She was panicking, thought her house was hit by lightning. So he said to me, would I go down? But I said, I'm not there at the minute, Johnny, but as soon as I go home, I'll check up on her. So on my way home, I looked over my shoulder and I could see my own house up in smoke. And when I got the length of her house, her house looked fine. So I come racing on up to my own house, and out from the back of the house looked grand. But when I got around to the front, it was already, smoke was bellowing out of the porch and the roof.
Sorry, I should have said right at the beginning, and this is my fault, not yours, Kieran. Yesterday, houses were struck in Newtown, Cunningham, by lightning. So, did the lightning strike all houses at the same time, or do you know what happened? And was there a massive bang, or how did it? Did you get a sense of what happened?
Well, I don't really know because I was travelling in my Jeep. I was over in Malin and I was coming over. But some of the locals that more or less filmed it reckon it was one strike of lightning and it forked off, 2 forks, and it had both houses at the same time. You know?
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. So what damage was done to your property?
Oh, well, I probably have lost a roof. More than half of the roof was on fire, and the front porch is gone. The roof of it's gone, and that's mainly with the fire, the lightning done, and then of course the damage from the water damage and all now. But they did get it under the fire brigade. Were very, very good, and they got it under control pretty quick.
Yeah, but of course you've got the fire, and then what we use to tackle the fire causes further damage. But you know that's just the way it is.
It's a mess.
That's not to blame anyone, but there's the fire and smoke damage, and then of course the water. And your neighbour's house, how badly is her house affected?
Oh, her house is very, very badly damaged. The whole roof's gone. First and second floor's gone, and it. Yeah, that's very badly damaged. That was a brand new house.
Yeah. And then there was a third house. There was a third house that was damaged. It was more the electrics that were affected.
That's right. They blew the electrics right out of the wall. You can see where they burnt the tracks down the walls. Yeah, that's a neighbour. He was in between the two of us. He was in the bungalow, in between the two of us. Yeah.
And do you know what?
That's right.
When the lightning struck your house, I wonder what actually caused the fire. Do you think it was a damage to the electrics, or did the lightning strike itself spark a fire? It's quite...
Possibly don't know. We think it may have went in, and there's an old, unused telephone wire into the house, copper wire, and I think it might have travelled in it.
That's interesting because I have one of those myself, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Once you get the fibre in or whatever, you tend to leave that attached, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
What are you going to do now, Kieran? You're waking up. I'm not sure if it's all sunk in for you and your neighbours, but what are you going to do now, Kieran?
Oh, well, we actually don't know where to start because with the weather so bad as it is, we have a builder friend coming down this morning to assess and see what he can do to even help us cover the hole in the roof. In the meantime, prepare now for this next storm. And if it was in the summertime, you start and pull off the roof and re-roof, but you can't really do that this time of year.
No. And you're not able to stay in the house, I take it?
Well, we stayed last night here in where we call the dining room. There's a log burning stove and it doesn't heat no water in or nothing, so we were able to keep it lit, and it was quite warm last night. But you could only manage that for a couple of days because we have no running water or we have no electricity.
Oh, wow!
All that has been cut off.
So do you know what you're going to do?
The water tanks.
Do you know what you're going to do, Kieran, or?
We don't know yet what we're going to do. We've got a lot of people, sure, they're offering you places to go, and it's brilliant. But the very fact that we have animals here, dogs and horses, and we can't just head off and, leave them.
No,
so some of us are going to have to stay about. Yes, it's rotten.
Really,
especially at the bad time of year. Yeah.
And as bad as it is, there's another storm coming. So even in terms of doing some remedial work, that's complicated. But it's going to be a long haul for you, Kieran, and your neighbour as well, your neighbour's house is destroyed as well.
Oh, God love her. They had to love this house too, and the whole thing's gone. I mean, as I say, the first and second floor's gone, the roof's gone. It's desperate to look to see this morning. Heartbreaking to see the house this morning. Our house is grand here. Our house is in 2 stages, step up, you see. Mm-hmm. So there was 2 bedrooms and a bathroom not affected. Yeah. And the sitting room wasn't affected. Mm-hmm. And then you step down in and there's the kitchen and dining room and 2 bedrooms above that. They're affected. Mm-hmm. So we could use, but then we've no electricity or no water anyway, so the whole place is kind of useless at the minute.
And as you say, you're rooted there with the animals as well that need care and attention.
The animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll maybe get a mobile home or something brought into the yard, and maybe I might get the ESB to connect a line to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's my only... We may try that.
Yeah, but it's also early days, isn't it? You're all just trying to work it through and come to terms with stuff. Well, listen, I mean, no one was injured, Kieran, in this incident, but that obviously that is to be welcome, but it doesn't tell the full story of the emotional impact and the disruption it's going to have on the lives for the next while at least.
Yeah, definitely, because my wife works in the bakery, Scarpello's Bakery, and if he hadn't rang her to tell her to come into work, because she had been off all morning because there were no electricity.
Yeah.
And if Kamal hadn't have phoned her to say to come into work, we would have been away out visiting Letterkenny.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been gone completely. Only, do you understand what I mean?
I do.
When I come home,
I do.
I was able to raise the alert hours long before, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose the fire service came to 2, maybe 3 instances. That split their resources as well. I mean, were they able to tackle fires at both premises, Kieran?
They did, yeah. But when I phoned them, I thought I was the first. And when I was standing, because I'm about 300 yards up a laneway, but I could see the fire brigades coming. But then they all turned up the other way over to Debbie, because they all thought it was that one house. So I had to ring back a second time and order a fire brigade to my address. I give them my area code and all. But then they realised there was 2 houses up. So then within not very long, the 3rd or 4th fire brigade came up to me.
All right, listen, Kieran, I'm sorry for everything that you're going through. And as I suppose we've a lot to be thankful for, but there's an awful lot for you to deal with as well. But Kieran, hopefully everything gets sorted really quick, and stay in touch with us if there's anything we can do to help. We're going to return to that story with Councillor Paul Canning in a moment, but I just want to quickly go to Siobhan Wynne, who's Regional Manager, Central Region at ESB Networks. Thanks for rejoining us, Siobhan. Good morning to you. I can't hear you, Siobhan. If you just unmute for me, please. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. So you're still muted there. Yes,
Hi,
there we
good
are.
Morning.
There we are. Right, okay. So listen, it's amazing work that your teams have been doing, Siobhan, over the last while. Still, the work to get everyone reconnected continues.
Yes, the work continues, absolutely. We've made good progress overnight. We've restored power to about 178,000 customers. So we currently have 57,000 customers across the country without power. In the Donegal region, we have approximately about 8,000 customers make up of that. So the crews have been out since first light again, working to restore power to as many people as we can. We've also redeployed a lot of our resources from other parts of the country where power has been restored, so up towards the northwest and the west of the country.
Some people are getting estimates of electricity not back until Wednesday, and in some cases Thursday. Now that is guidance, and I've found, generally speaking, the power returns quicker than the estimate. But is it the case that some might be without power for as long as the website's suggesting?
It is, unfortunately so. So as you say, it is guidance, so it's our best estimate at the moment. It's difficult to give accurate estimates when you're in the middle of storm restoration. Particularly, I suppose, the weather hasn't been kind to us either. Yesterday we had quite a lot of wind and lightning to contend with, particularly up in Donegal. So again, we're hoping for a better day today, but with the weather warnings coming in, that mightn't be the case. So it is likely that there will be people without power over the coming days. But obviously we're doing our best to restore it as quickly as possible.
We've been contacted by people who are reliant on medical equipment, Siobhan. Can they make contact with the ESB? Is there any provision for certain places to be prioritised if there is a requirement to have access to power, or do you have to just work through the problems as they arise?
Well, we do have a register of vulnerable customers, so people using medical equipment will, if they've registered on our system, they will be tagged, and so if we're aware of that, we will do our best to take that into account when we're restoring power. But again, I suppose, given the number of faults, it can be quite difficult to ensure that you restore power to people in that situation. So I would advise them just to make sure that they have a backup supply if they have equipment in the house that they're relying on.
Now, of course, as you mentioned, and finally, Siobhan, it's a very fluid situation. If with a good wind, and I don't mean that literally, obviously, but it's an old metaphor, you would hope to have the majority of homes reconnected in Donegal by when?
Well, as I say, we'll get as many tonight, but again, we're looking into tomorrow and possibly Thursday, depending on the weather that comes in this evening. So that's going to be a big factor in terms of how many people we can get power restored to over the next couple of days.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. That's Siobhan Wynne there, Regional Manager with Central Region at ESB Network. So not fantastic news, I suppose, if you're getting predictions of power not returning to tomorrow or Thursday, but there is another storm to contend with just bearing down on us almost as we speak. We'll return now to Newtown Cunningham. Councillor Paul Canning is with us. Paul, I appreciate your patience. Siobhan is sort of like a daisy chain of interviews, so thank you very much for being so patient. We heard from Kieran there and what others are going through. It's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible, you know what I mean, and like it's devastating for the families. And you heard Kieran there at first hand, and he was, you know, trying to make light of the difficulties that he has there, you know, in fairness to him, and he's a positive person, and he will get it, he will get himself sorted, and the community will roll in behind those families and do whatever they decide to do, and give them a helping hand, you know. It was terrible the way the whole thing worked out. Like that, those buildings are a half a mile apart, and the three of them, there was a serious lightning strike at about 3:30 yesterday evening. I was driving through Newton Street at the time, and it shook the whole of the village. It lit it up, you know, and it was unbelievable. Like it was actually, you know, it was scary what actually happened, you know. You know, and it's one of them situations, you know, that you don't know how to deal with. You know,
and you're right, because you know we fear the worst, obviously, sometimes when there's real severe weather warnings. You know, there are people vulnerable to flooding, unfortunately, across our region, more susceptible to wind. But lightning strikes, you know, we can't be prepared for that. And for two houses to be so extensively damaged, and a third family facing a nightmare too in getting their internal wiring resolved, it really is, it's unusual, and we can't really prepare for it.
No, we can't prepare for it, you know, and the house that has been extensively damaged, and she's just as we speak, she's after texting me, so she's willing to go on and speak with you. So whenever I come up here, I'll give you her number, and you can give her a ring, and you'll hear the inside story from her. They were in the house, so she'll give you a better idea of what actually happened.
Is there any role, and we appreciate that, Paul, is there any role, do you think, for the council in helping these families at this point, or is it a matter for, obviously no one's going to leave them hanging, but these are private properties, they have to work with the insurance companies and source their own builders and what have you?
There's a role. You know, and I know the red tape that's involved with council and local authorities, and they can't be selective as to who they help. But there is a role for us as a community to get behind these families and do whatever, you know. And there'll have to be a major clean-up done after the buildings have been assessed and cleared for safety. So we have to wait until that happens. And as you heard from Kieran, the weather is going to be difficult to deal with. But I know from past experience in the community that the community will roll behind them and they will help them and whatever they need. But we have to, and I'll be speaking to them today, we have to take it from that. But even if there is financial support needed, will not be found wanting either in relation to that. And I've already got offers from people like a former employee of your own, Emma Rose Callan, has offered the Green Inn Hotel as accommodation, and we have offers from St Vincent de Paul and offers from the general public that are already willing to get behind us in these situations, you know, and I think it is something. I know I'm going off a wee bit. I think it is something we need to do within our community, is set up some form of a disaster fund that locals can donate on a weekly basis rather than just whenever something like this happens, because like as all villages and all small towns, we do have a number of people that could be doing with their help on a regular basis, you know, and I think it is. I know Balbaface and others have done that, and I think it's something we do need to look at. But in relation, going back to your original question regarding the local authorities and stuff like that, it's very difficult for them to be selective as to who, because everybody needs support. I get that. Yeah,
okay, listen, Paul,
it's a community.
For sure. Thank you very much for your help. I do appreciate it. Take care of yourself, Councillor Paul Canning there. And for those of you watching the programme on whatever device you choose to, we're showing the weather map here now, and you can see off to the left moving in towards us is the latest storm front, which seems to just almost glance the northwest, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to get really strong winds, but not at the level of Aisha, it would seem. Okay, we're going to get an update on the roads and what is the situation in that regard after we take this break. Stay right where you are. We'll be back with you in just a couple of moments. Brian Cannon, Director of Roads and Transport with Donegal County Council, will be joining us.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Brian dúdrós áitiúil do hansa golóir bailí. Taíonn sé le puist agus gnólachtaí. Cuireann sé tuithíocht fáil, agus banistíonn sé seirbhísí nós leabharlanna, bóithre, pórcanna agus neart eile. Bíonn tionchar ag na cinnti agus bartais a cuireann de údrós. Agus na cóirlóirí a haigh an tusa I bhaim an saoil I de cheantar hain. Is féidir tuile óla seáil gov.ie/your council or na chóirtugad ag rialtas na hÉireann.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
If you need a new laptop, enjoy super fast performance and seamless multitasking with Avita laptops at Ben Sweeney Euronics. Avita laptops are equipped with advanced processors and ample RAM, so they handle everything from work to entertainment with ease. They come with a 2-year warranty and prices starting at only €449. For more details, pop in and see us at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Brian Adams is back on tour in 2024. Join Highland Radio on our trip to Dublin to see the man himself at the 3 Arena on Tuesday the 21st of May 2024. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast at the 4-star Carlton Hotel Blanchardstown, your standing ticket to the show, and a shopping trip to Dublin City Centre the following day. Find out more on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25 5,000.
So Donegal County Council has issued a statement in the wake of Storm Isha and ahead of Storm Jocelyn. A yellow wind warning is in place this evening until 7 p.m. and tomorrow from 12 p.m. until 5 a.m. A further status orange wind warning is in place for the period from 6 p.m. tomorrow to 2 a.m. on Tuesday. Right. I just wonder now, can Brian Cannon hear me? Brian, can you hear me? No, I'll tell you. I'll come back to Brian just in a moment. Brian Cannon's going to give us an update on the situation as it relates to how the council are dealing with road closures and all that type of stuff. So Brian's going to be rejoining us just in a moment. Technically, just has to be sorted, and it will be. Keep your calls and comments coming into us, by the way. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. It is the 9 till noon show, and as I say, we're trying to keep you across everything that's happening in the region and beyond. Who pays the council sorting the trees, taxpayer or the landowner, asks a listener. Another, thanks to all the emergency services and the ESB workers who've been tirelessly working to keep us safe. A massive thank you to you, and I can't reiterate that enough. And lots of people messaged me privately on social media asking me on their behalf to thank the council workers and indeed the ESB crews for the work that they have been doing. Okay, right, let's get an update on the roads. Brian Cannon, Director of Roads and Transport with Donegal County Council. A lot of balls in the air here, Brian, and I open one thing and it switches the mic off from another. But anyway, it's good to have you on the show. Hopefully you can hear me. All your teams have been out. All main roads at this point cleared, with one exception. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Greg. Our crews worked on the roads on a priority basis over the course of Sunday evening for a period, and then yesterday. All main roads have been reopened with the exception of the R238 in Carndonagh at Ardcolgan, which is blocked due to fallen utility wires. A diversion is in place. So.
Yeah, and just, I mean, you know, when we talk about a tree blocking the road, people might think it's a branch or a small tree or what have you. But I mean, even just in relation to the one tree which I saw firsthand, and that was the tree that fell across the road, Carragart to Ramelton. It was massive, and a day's work to clear it and then cart it off as well. You know, some of these trees that have come down are really, really, really big.
Absolutely, Greg, and we always advise our public and our workers are go through various safety briefings, etc. The hidden dangers as well. You know, there could be a utility wire entangled in that, or there could be a fence that maybe has been tensioned to a point that whenever the branch is cut, it could spring. You know, so there's a lot of dangers there, and in reality, you know, tackling a job like that, you need to be trained and competent for those very large. For those very large trees. Now, there are still some local roads that remain blocked due to trees or utility issues. And in one case, I'm aware that we've made a decision to close a road because there's a structure adjacent to the road that's dangerous after being damaged by Storm Isha, and there's potential that there could be further collapse of that structure over the course of the next event.
Which road is that? Did you mention that road?
That's out in Burton Port.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's from before.
Now, I mean, obviously the winds being forecast for this latest storm aren't as severe as Isha's, but you never know. These things can change in hours, but fingers crossed they aren't. But that doesn't mean the dangers are over, because, you know, there are going to be some trees and what have you that could be on the brink, you know, that haven't yet gone, and a slight change in wind direction could be enough to toss them. So I think even though we're outside of a red warning at this point for this evening, I'd be really, really cautious travelling on the roads out there, especially, you know, not especially, but, you know, with back roads and what have you, where the dangers may not have been spotted yet. Would you agree, Brian?
I would absolutely agree, Greg. What we found actually on Sunday evening was, in advance of the red warning, during the orange period, we had multiple trees down in different locations. The very large blockage on the regional road leaving Letterkenny towards Ramelton, just past Arena 7, that came down during the orange period. And I think, unfortunately, as we have learned of various tragedies around the country in Mayo and Louth and in Derry, travelling during these events is very dangerous. So I would advise and agree with what you're saying, is that, you know, this evening during the orange period, maybe plan ahead and don't travel unless absolutely necessary.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for the update, and to pass on in person the thanks that I've been asked to pass on to the teams out working on the trees and the ESB crews as well. I know you're going to have to work closely with them and those that are responsible for the broadband network as well, because a lot of these problems are literally intertwined. So hopefully everyone remains to stay safe. It's a testament to their professionalism, I think, and their training that we've managed to stay safe so far. And again, thanks for all the hard work from your teams, Brian.
Okay, thanks. And Greg, and I'd just like to be joined in that with the utility crews and our own staff that have worked over the period since Sunday evening just to try and deal with the response, and who are preparing for Storm Jocelyn as well in its aftermath. So thanks very much, and thanks to yourselves and the local media that have have very much helped with getting the messages out there and the public safety messages, which is so important.
All right, Brian, take care of yourself. Brian Cannon there, back with a gentleman who ended up with a shed in his front garden.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
So you're saying mental health difficulties can be smaller things?
Yeah.
Like trouble sleeping?
Yeah.
Or if I'm always stressed, like?
Yeah.
Or often anxious?
They're all part of your mental health.
Thought those were separate.
Nope. They're all connected.
Hey, how do you know all this anyway?
Sure, I've been there myself.
Anxiety, ongoing stress, low mood or trouble sleeping, they're all part of your mental health. Make the connection and find support that can help at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSE.
Attention school leavers. Join us for Southwest College's full-time and apprenticeship open days. Visit our campuses in Dungannon on the 23rd of January, Enniskillen on the 30th of January, and Uma on the 6th of February from 3 to 7 p.m. Participate in workshops and demonstrations and meet your future tutors. Whether you're passionate about business, engineering, healthcare or the arts, we have something for everyone. Study near, go far at Southwest College. Visit swc.ac.uk for details.
Go full Lidl with these exclusive Lidl Plus offers. Like Board B approved Irish Angus lean steak mince was $5.99, now $4.79. Have a side up microwavable baby potatoes, 50% off, only 49¢. And Irish grated mature white cheddar cheese was $2.19, now $1.64. Scan your Lidl Plus app and go full Lidl today.
The Euro Millions Mega Draw is back, and it's pretty big. It's actually massive. This Friday, the 26th of January, the Euro Millions jackpot will be a guaranteed €130 million. It's just too big to miss.
The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
At iMotors, our brand new Kia 241 range is ready to go for immediate delivery. As Donegal's home for Kia, with 7 years warranty and low finance rates from 1.9% on EV cars and 3.9% on the rest of the range. Check out our stylish and diverse range at imotors.ie. iMotors, your local Kia dealership.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, let's see what the weather forecast has in store for us today. Wet and windy as Storm Jocelyn tracks to the northwest of Ireland. Very strong and gusty southwesterly winds will develop through the day, with the strongest winds on coast. There'll be widespread rain during the morning and afternoon, followed by scattered showers in the evening. Temperatures almost irrelevant, aren't they? 11 to 13 degrees. Strong winds continuing for a time Tuesday night. That's tonight, with the very strong and gusty south to west wind easing overnight. Clear spells and scattered showers at first tomorrow, becoming isolated as the night goes on. Temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. So tomorrow's not going to be so bad, but today and tonight we're into sort of yellow and orange warnings again. Desi, how are you getting on? Good morning to you.
How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing all right, Desi. What part of the world are you in?
I'm in the Crossroads, Kilgarden here.
Right, okay. And what was did you get a sense of how bad the weather was as it was emerging?
I knew it was bad enough. I went down to my sister's house roughly about 8:30. I was down under there and I kind of realised the one was getting up. But it came all of a sudden, that the real high one, about 10 to 9, that's when we noticed there was shade in the front garden.
Yeah, and we're looking at that shed now. I mean, this is a significant piece of a structure, isn't it? It's like literally lifted up, smashes against a part of your house and ends up in your front garden virtually intact.
Well, if you're looking closely at it, it's not intact.
Well,
it's roughly, it's roughly about 30 foot by 20 foot. It came from four doors up. I would say roughly traveled about 300 yards. It came through a neighbour's garden. It came through my brother's garden. It came through a field next to my house, and it came into my garden, and it landed up against the telegraph pole and in my garden. It clipped off the side of my house. Just the spouting was broken. A bit of slates is damaged, and the fascia board's damaged slightly.
I see it was it was secured where it's at. I see a strap on it.
Yeah. The guy that owned it, he came down when the one died down, maybe around 2 o'clock or thereabouts, and he strapped it just to make sure it wouldn't go any further, because it would have been dangerous if it went any further, and cars on the road, and then there was a creamery across the road. So once it was tied down, it wasn't really going to go much further at that point.
And this could have been actually a very different story, because you and your other half were out in the front garden a little earlier on.
No, I wasn't actually, but my wife Arlene, she was out with the dog, took the dog out to do his business in the garden, and literally she came into the house and went into the front sitting room and literally looked out the window, and there the shade was trapped up against the telegraph pole at that point. So it was literally a few minutes. She was out there a few minutes beforehand.
Oh, it's a shocker. It's a shocker.
So really lucky. Yeah.
And the owner of the shed too. I mean, that's an expensive piece of equipment lost there as well. Right, okay. So thankfully, no one was injured, but quite a bit of damage done. Is the property damaged, Desi?
My own property, not too bad. Just the corner of the gable of the house where the spouting is and the facing board and a couple of slits. The damage, nothing too bad. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. So no, we're thankful that there's nobody injured or hurt.
All right, listen, thanks for your time.
It could have been a lot worse.
I appreciate it. Take care of yourself, Desi. Thank you very much indeed. And for those of you who are watching the programme, we're seeing a picture from some time ago. It's a very significant tree. It's called the Big Tree, that's what it's known as, and it was located at O'Donnell Park, and it was lost to Storm Isha. It's gone. John Harrens, chair of St. Eunan's GEA Club. John, I mean, it is a tree, but, you know, these things tend to get well known and what have you. I'm sure loads of people have lots of pictures and memories of it. It's gone now.
That's it, Greg. The big tree's gone. The storm took it away. So, a lot of sad faces and a lot of memories gone from St. Eunan's with the big tree. I suppose, Greg, it becomes synonymous, you know, with O'Donnell Park and with the training area where, you know, loads of our teams trained, and the Sunday morning academy took place out there. And anytime there were splitzes on, you know, the back pitch would have been full with children taking part, boys and girls, and, you know, there was always great fun around the big tree. You know, there was quite a bit of a mound up to it, so, you know, they were running up and down and they were trying to climb it and running around it, and it just seemed to attract the children, especially, Greg, and they had brilliant fun at it, and it just always, you know, it was always, as the man said, a place of joy and happiness, and unfortunately now it's gone, you know.
I mean, if trees could talk, it would have some memories and some stories. It's seen some crack over the years, and it looks like it must have been dying or susceptible, John, given the way it broke off there. I don't know. I'm not a tree.
Absolutely, Greg. It seemed to be dead for a number of years. I suppose there was a bit of controversy with the big tree, Greg. You know, going back to maybe around 1996, 1997, when the club had purchased that land. You know, and the redevelopment began of I suppose the modern O'Donnell Park. So we had closed the main pitch, where the main pitch is now, the old pitch, and we started redeveloping out the back for the training pitch. And I think it was around 1996, 97, Michael Gibbons, former president there, or principal of Clostaglia, Mickey, he was the chairman at the time, and chatting to some of the older members of the committee, you know, back then, and there was a lot of meetings about the tree, because I suppose at that stage, Greg, St. Eunan's didn't own that land, so that tree had no real attachment or history to St. Eunan's. It was just a big tree in a field next to O'Donnell Park. Yeah. So when the redevelopment was starting and they were realigning, you know, the roundabout went there at the bottom of Ballymacool and the new entrance into O'Donnell Park, and all that was happening at the same time. And I think the committee was split down the middle whether to just knock that tree, because they said there's no real sentimental value to St. Eunan's at that stage, but I suppose it was an iconic tree, and you know, a lot of history. It was maybe, there's reports of it being between 300 and 500 years old, and it was part of the old Ballymacool estate. So there was a bit of a fight, well, not a fight, but arguments amongst club members at the time, because it would have meant the realignment of that back pitch would have been closer, say, to the main road, and would have given us more space in other parts to do other things. But I think Mickey Gibbons was chairman at the time. I think Mickey said, no, we'll keep the tree, and you know, it proved to be a wise move, because it has turned into that iconic tree, and I suppose it's for the the children that have come behind, you know, that it has become iconic for them over the last 25 years because they've grown up, they've known nothing else. Only that big three to Donald Park where people of my generation, you know, all their underage football was over McGovern's Field where Ora is now, and even further on over to where the track is, you know. So, as I said, for a certain generation of St. Eunice people, that tree had nothing to do with O'Donnell Park, but for the younger generation, say 25 or 30, that's all they have ever known. So yeah, a lot of history and a lot of memories, Greg.
So John, rumours that you were there when it was planted are false, is that what you're saying?
Definitely,
I would only risk that one when there's quite a bit of space between me and you, John. Come here.
Yeah.
Right, okay, and listen, maybe people have memories and they might want to share us. John, listen, thanks very much for joining us. I do appreciate it. And it's another wee piece of more contemporary history lost, but many memories there nonetheless. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Greg.
Take care of yourself. John Harron there, Chair of St. Eunan's GEA Club. We'll be back with more, and share your memories if you wish, or any other information. We'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices. The news is going to be a minute or two late. My apologies, but just an awful lot to squeeze into that first hour.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Boots Best for Less. Here to help you save more on the products you love. Whether you're flirting with a new look, ooh, look at you, practicing a little self-care, or blushing over new beauty. We're with you for getting the best and nothing less. Shop the products you love at prices you love even more and get the best for less at Boots. Boots, with you for life. See boots.ie for details.
So he was like messaging me all night and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "You're so hot, I want to come over."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "I'm on my way, driving over right now."
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
The life of a Charlie's Chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Colin here from Sweeney's Home Value Builders Providers, Lettermack Award and Derrybeg. Are you starting a new build or planning a renovation anytime soon? Why not give us a call today for quotation for all your building needs? Whether it's steel or insulation, timber or slates, we have it all at Sweeney's Builders Providers, Lettermack Award and Derrybeg. Call 074 95 44 114. And now with delivery all across Donegal, at Sweeney's Builders Providers, we have it all.
The menopause is a very inclusive condition. You don't have to get it to suffer from it.
Uncle Dee's hilarious show, How to Get the Menopause and Enjoy It, comes to on Green on Letterkenny, February the 2nd, and Bala Art Centre Ballybuffet, February 17th.
I phoned up my mammy and I went, "I'm thinking of HRT." And she said, "What's wrong with the bank you're with?"
For full details, go to angledee.com.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The country is facing a second named storm in just a matter of days, with an orange warning set to hit Donegal this evening. Storm Jocelyn will bear down across the country today, with the potential for more damaging gusts and travel disruption. An orange level warning will come into effect in Donegal, Mayo and Galway from 6 this evening. Other areas will be affected by yellow alerts over the course of the day. Joanna Donnelly from Medherin says we are in for another very windy day.
But those strong winds are really going to affect many parts of the country right through this afternoon. And we'll be particularly looking inland in the middle of the afternoon, you know, from around lunchtime onwards. So when you're out and about picking up the kids, around that time we'll see strong winds across the centre of the country. Now the orange level winds coming a little bit later into the west and northwest, but strong winds. It's going to be a very windy day all day.
As the clean-up from Storm Isha continues, meanwhile, 57,000 premises are still without power across the country. Over 60 separate power outages remain across Donegal, with 8,000 homes and businesses affected. Power restoration will be carried out today and tomorrow, with the longest estimated repair time scheduled for Thursday for around 800 premises. On today's 9 till noon show, ESB Network spokesperson Siobhan Wem said they're working to restore power to all customers, but she said weather continues to have an impact.
We currently have 57,000 customers across the country without power. In the Donegal region, we have approximately about 8,000 customers. It's difficult to give accurate estimates when you're in the middle of storm restoration. Particularly, I suppose, the weather hasn't been kind to us either. Yesterday we had quite a lot of wind and lightning to contend with, particularly up in Donegal. So again, we're hoping for a better day today, but with the weather warnings coming in, that mightn't be the case. So it is likely that there will be people without power over the coming days, but obviously we're doing our best to restore it as quickly as possible.
710 residential buildings were under construction in Donegal during December of last year. In the 12 months prior, 613 new residential address points in the county were added to the Geodirectory database. Donegal recorded a vacancy rate of 9.2% for December 2023. The national average was 3.9%. The highest residential vacancy rates continue to be found in the west and northwest. Leitrim at 12% recorded the highest rate. Dublin had the lowest at 1%. Dara Keogh is CEO at Geodirectory. He says both figures are signs of non-functioning housing markets.
We see that Dublin has the lowest vacancy rate at 1%, and then we see that Leitrim has the highest vacancy rate at 12%. So in a real functioning housing market, you're probably looking for a vacancy rate in and around 4, 5, 6%, something like that. So Dublin is probably a little bit too tight, and somewhere like Leitrim still has room for people to take up this space.
Irish Development Agency Trócaire says Ireland has a legal obligation to prevent genocide in Gaza. It says the government is duty-bound under the UN Genocide Convention to assess whether there is a risk that genocide is being committed. Trócaire CEO Caoimhe de Barra says calling for a ceasefire is no longer enough.
Under this convention, any country that is a party to it must do everything in its power to prevent the risk of genocide. So we are saying that the Irish government must act urgently, as the Israeli military is currently killing an average of 250 Palestinians per day in Gaza, and 1 in 4 people in Gaza are facing immediate risk of starvation.
And government is finalising plans today to protect the use of notes and coins. The measures being signed off by Cabinet will mean all supermarkets, convenience stores and pharmacies would have to accept cash, as the goods they're selling are considered essentials. The use of physical cash has fallen from €20 billion before the pandemic to €13.5 billion in 2022. ATM usage has declined by almost 45%. Independent TD Michael Healy-Rae is welcoming the government plans, but says they don't go far enough.
Absolutely not. Cash is a legal tender. There is nothing wrong or untoward about people having cash and wanting to pay for services through cash. Not everybody is into credit cards. Not everybody has them. Not everybody wants to have them. But I believe this is a step in the right direction.
Weather forecast: wet and windy as storm Jocelyn tracks across the northwest. Very strong and gusty southwesterly winds developing through the day, with the strongest winds on coasts. There'll be widespread rain during the morning and afternoon, followed by scattered showers in the evening. Top temperatures 11 to 13 degrees Celsius. Strong winds continuing for a time tonight, with the very strong and gusty southwest to west winds easing as the night goes on. Clear spells and scattered showers at first, becoming isolated as the night goes on. Lowest overnight temperatures 6 to 8 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow Wednesday, mainly dry, showers isolated, moderate to fresh westerly winds at first, steadily easing during the day, becoming light south southerly later. Highest temperatures tomorrow 7 to 9 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with headlines at 11. Check all of today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning.
The Obituary notices this Tuesday morning, January 22nd. The death has taken place of Bryony Doherty, Devlin Ray Carrigart. His remains will repose at his late residence from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral from there on Thursday, going to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrigart, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on Meva Parish Facebook page. Family time from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Timmy McBride, Annagry and Bunbeg. His remains will repose at McGlynn's funeral home today from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. with Rosary at 8 o'clock, and tomorrow from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m, followed by removal to his own home with Rosary at 8:30. Funeral on Thursday at 11 a.m. in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagry, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of Jackie John Thomas Wilkie, Stranorler, Letterkenny and Garton Church Hill. Jackie's remains will repose at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. today. Service of thanksgiving for the life of Jackie will take place in the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, followed by interment in Garton Cemetery. The death has taken place of Edward Eddie O'Kane, late of 9 Clon Road, Eglinton, beloved husband of Mary Bridget Nee McLaughlin of Glenagivy, Moville. House private, please. Funeral from W.J. O'Brien and Sons Funeral Home, 110 Cluny Road, Eglinton, this morning at 11:30 for 12 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Tam na Heron. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Mary McGee, St Oran's Road, Buncrana, remains reposing at her late residence. Removal to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 7 p.m. this evening. Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. House private, please, with the exception of close family, friends and neighbours. The death has taken place of Kieran Gallagher, Station Road, Creasla. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral Mass in St Michael's Church, Creasla, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. Burial afterwards in Doe Cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. tonight and before the funeral tomorrow morning. The death has taken place of Neil Coyle, 12 Glenside, Strabane and formerly of Derry, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:20 a.m. for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road at 10 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Kidney Research, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place in London on December 23rd of Aidan Garvin, formerly of Mulroy, Glencar Road, Letterkenny, reposing at his sister Mary's residence, 32 Meadow Hill, Kiltoy, Letterkenny, today from 2 p.m. until 7:30. Removal from there at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, going to St Eunan's Cathedral for 11 a.m. funeral mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Private cremation on Thursday at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Irish Heart Foundation, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of May Mulvihill, Knee Ward, Ballycairn, Kilmacrennan. Remains reposing at her home. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. in St Columba's Church, Kilmacrennan. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Patrick Patsy Collins, Carmel House, Salahagrin, Letterkenny. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Requiem Mass this afternoon in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny at 1 o'clock, with burial afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed at St Eunan's webcam. Donations in lieu of flowers to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. House private, please, this morning. The death has taken place of Marlene McShane, Nee Connolly, 21 Columban Terrace, Strabane, reposing at her home. Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount is ongoing, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers please to the Western Health and Social Care Trust, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed at melmountparish.com. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Prices keep dropping in-store at Aldi, with loads of your favourites getting the price drop treatment. Like high-protein mousse 200 grams was $1.75, now $1.49. Melt in the middle fish cakes 2-pack was $3.49, now $2.99. And Irish lean beef burgers 2-pack was $2.89, now $2.49. Ooh, lean burger, lean price. Follow the path to lower prices. Go all Aldi. Prices checked 8th of the 1st, 24. Details aldi.ie/save.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show for this Tuesday morning, the 23rd of January. Very shortly, we'll be joined by Garda Sean Sweeney. We're going to have the very latest appeals and information for you directly from An Garda Síochána. You can hear it first here on Highland Radio. Of course, that's on the way, so stay tuned for that. Keep us updated with anything that you think we need to be relating to our listeners out there as well. Hi, Greg. There's a Telegraph pole completely snapped at the base on the Carndonagh to Maville Road. It's standing upright but leaning against the ditch and totally out of the ground about 2 minutes outside Carndonagh on the right hand side as you drive towards Maville. It's located in a dangerous bend just past an old stone shed that's had its roof blown off, so be careful on the approach there. Please tell people using Dundeal or any selling site to be very careful. Someone hacked into my account and was using my account to sell a fire stick and golf clubs. They were requesting PayPal payments. Okay. There's no power on in Carrigan's village yet, I'm told, and indeed there's 8,000 premises, which doesn't tell the full story. That's premises, that's not people. So there's tens of thousands of people without power out there. Greg, about electricity outage, I think we shouldn't be reliant on outages. We need to keep an open fire, one without a back boiler, so we can use it and have a warm room in the house, and candles or an oil lamp and a gas hob, so we don't have to be dependent on electric. If unfortunately our government and Eamon Ryan wants to get rid of an open fire, but we cannot let them dictate to us what to do. The road between Rathmullen and Buncrana is severely flooded. Please avoid. That came in at 9:45. Just wondering, what was the last secret sound, as I missed what it was? The one running over Christmas, New Year. We'll pick a Christmas. I think it was running over two of them. It was when you go into a restaurant or what have you and you order toast, it comes with butter and sometimes it comes with a little white thing of jam or marmalade, and you peel the lid off to access the little reservoir of jam or marmalade, and it was pulling that lid off. Greg, get someone from Air on phone lines, Dan. Yet we're chasing up all the utilities to try and get information for you. And when we have an Air or one of the main suppliers that are down, unfortunately, there's a lot of piggyback networks. I think Gomo is on Air, for an example. So if Air's down, Gomo's down, and there's a few others. Hi, Greg. In relation to red warnings, I thought it was late notice from Terran. If a person didn't have social media, they might not be aware of it. Too late. Social media highlighted the warning. Good if red warning is called, which is highest warning in Ireland. Surely they could add as a breaking news to run along TV programmes. Also, maybe time we now install lightning rods to new homes like they do in other countries. I don't know what you access. I thought there was fair warning of the severity of Storm Isha, but listen, I respect your point of view as well. I think that the problem is that we have yellow warnings all of the time and the odd orange warning, and this is a point I was actually trying to make on social media, that we get yellow and orange warnings all the time, and it is a little bit of a boy cries wolf, and then the next step up is red, and we see this destruction right across the country in terms of our infrastructure and what have you. I'm not saying they shouldn't issue yellow warnings when they do, but, you know, these colours like yellow, it's going to be rainy, but it is always rainy. Do you know what I mean? Or orange, it's going to be a bit more rainy, but that might not lead to flooding. And then there's this massive leap to red. I don't know if there's a better way of because, as I say, I was trying to, as much as I feel it kind of is a little bit my responsibility, to try and let people know, no, this red warning, this is going to be a biggie here, so please really heed that. Not that anyone needs me to tell that, but, you know, sometimes we can be a little bit warning fatigued, if that makes sense. Good morning, Greg. Let's all reflect on how these storms and power outages are impacting the country. And without electricity, for those who are solely dependent on electricity, should have outages be prolonged? What about heat? For those fortunate have kept their open fire, they'll realise how vital it is to retain our open fires or stoves. Yet Eamon Ryan and his cohort dictating to us in rural Ireland to change to electricity. So I hope these storms will make people think. Morning, Greg and team. I was not able to listen to you yesterday as my electricity was off. I see the big tree toppled at St. Eunan's. Have the club said yet what their plans are? I hope it won't just be chopped into firewood. Surely it could be carved into some sort of sculpture or a wee bench. I'm not sure how much of it is left to make a sculpture. It seemed to have been broken right down to the sort of the bit that's above terra firma, and it is contemporary. Enough history there. I didn't get a chance to ask John because the 10 o'clock news was bearing down on me, but it's a good question, and we'll find out over the course of the next wee while. Well, we have two government TDs who should have the power and influence to get this GP surgery survey undertaken in Inishowen on the health effects of defective concrete, respiratory illness, mental health. If they were any good, they'd have resigned their seats and cause a by-election on Micah anyway, so I'm wasting my time now. A lot of people still refer to the defective concrete crisis as Micah, which I understand that, and I try and interchange it so that I know some people it annoys when it's just referred to as Micah, because obviously we've learnt now it's a much bigger problem than Micah, but that's just become the tag name, and it is what it is. Yeah, I was mentioning just before 9 there, and this is maybe where this caller is coming from, that there's a study that was done through GP services down in Dublin about accommodation that needs to be fixed for the people down there. It's not either or, but they're twice as likely to suffer with respiratory illness, asthma and what have you because of the dampness, the wetness, the dampness, the same thing, isn't it? The black mould and the coldness in the properties. But that's exactly what hundreds and hundreds of people are experiencing across Donegal. And I've heard anecdotally that people are having to get inhalers and what have you, children with no history of asthma and no sort of hereditary situation that are now have respiratory problems. And as I said in the first hour as well, spoke to a health expert, a respiratory lung expert last year who said, it's very dangerous. It shouldn't be the case. So maybe that's a tack that we need to start pushing even more than we already have been. And I know there's been an awful lot of work done on this, but what is the situation? Is there a study that can be done? Is there a GP out there that might lend their voice? They might know anecdotally people that are coming into the surgery and they might ask them, well, what's your environment like? Maybe to just get some sense from someone other than me, i.e. a professional, as to the impact these homes are having on people's health. Maybe that will help to push things along. We know, but do you get where I'm coming from? That we can sort of say, well, this person said that, or that's what their belief is, and so on and so forth. Okay. Right. Coming up after the news, we've got information on thefts from cars in Convoy and Rafo, attempted thefts of from cars in Castlefin, burglaries in Coldaff, criminal damage in Falcara, the Shore Road, Downing's sheep gone missing there, and loads of other information. That's coming directly from Ongada Síochána after we take this break. Stay right where you are.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 23rd of January. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 4. The numbers are 61, 41, 90, 67, 24, 75, 26, 87, 53, and finally 21. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
I saw your Be Good baker running by again the other day, says I to old Mr. Brennan. Ah, yes, says he. I've never seen her stand still. And she's running rings around the rest of us with our Brennan's Be Good bread. Only 60 calories a slice. 60 calories, says I. That's just a whole meal, is it? No, you see, it's the whole meal, the whole grain and the white. 60 calories a slice and high in fibre, whatever way you slice it. That's why anything baked is better with Brennan's. Today's bread today.
We move Ireland's energy through one of Europe's most modern gas networks, delivering the energy you need today throughout the country. And now we're moving Ireland's energy in a new way, bringing more sustainable sources into the pipeline. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
Newly engaged and planning your wedding? If so, the Villa Rose and Jackson's Dual Wedding Showcase takes place on Saturday, January 27th from 1 to 4 p.m. Come along and view both stunning wedding venues and meet the dedicated wedding teams at Villa Rose and Jackson's Ballybuffet.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show at 23 minutes past 10 on this Tuesday, the 23rd of January. It is time, as the Sting would have indicated, for Community Garda information, and we're joined in studio today by Garda Sean Sweeney from the Buncrana Garda Station. Sean, thanks so much for calling in.
Morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Good. We'll crack straight on. It's a busy one. 2 thefts from cars to begin with. We'll start in Convoy, Sean.
Yeah, that's in Ballybone Convoy in the early hours of Saturday the 20th of January between midnight and 6 a.m. Car parked overnight in the driveway. Entry was gained it. It had been unlocked, and a sum of cash and a purse containing cards was stolen. So appeal to anybody who observed suspicious activity or vehicles in the area may contact Letterkenny 9167100 or the confidential line 1800 666 111.
And on to Convoy now, a similar crime.
Yeah, again, this is Sunday, 21st of January between midnight and 9:30 a.m. The Common in Rafo. A handbag, a purse, sum of cash and a number of shopping vouchers were stolen. No damage is caused to the van. Again, we're appealing for unusual activity of vehicles overnight Saturday or into Sunday morning. Please contact Letterkenny.
And also, too, a warning for people in the Castlefin area, too. Some information coming from there.
Yeah, a number of residents in Session Park in Castlefin. Recently, the recent attempts from testing the vehicles. All the vehicles were unlocked and entries were believed to be gained. Again, this is between midnight and 6 a.m. on Saturday, the 20th of January. Nothing was stolen from these vehicles. We appeal to anybody, again, suspicious vehicles or persons in the area of Friday night, Saturday morning to contact Letterkenny.
This is a similar type of crime across a certain geographical area. I mean, do we have to be conscious that maybe people are going out and seeing this as a soft touch, maybe, and actively targeting vehicles in this way?
That's what it appears to be at the moment, yeah. So, look, we're appealing to residents in the surrounding areas there. If any of their vehicles have been tampered, please report it to us, because if we know, we can link them all together and do something about it. So a number of owners, we believe, haven't contacted you. So we're asking, if this has happened to you, please contact Gardaí in Letterkenny. These attempts and thefts took place in Castlefin, Rafo and Convoy. It's under the cover of darkness. So we're asking people, make sure your cars are locked at all times. Don't leave them unattended, even if they're parked at home or in a public place, and trying to park in a well-lit area if possible.
Yeah, okay. Don't leave anything in the car and keep it locked. I know, and sometimes I think, Sean, because we are just human, we think once the vehicle's outside the house that in some way there's this cloak of security that extends from the house to the car or the van, but that's clearly not the case. Okay, we'll be extra vigilant going forward. If you believe your car was tampered with at any stage, but particularly, I suppose, over the 20th, 21st, make sure to contact Gardaí, because that can help them. In getting information. And do you know, there's great value to these. There's different doorbells, but these doorbells with videos on, they trigger and record if they see an activity. They're very, very useful, not just for the homeowner, but I'm sure for the Gardaí down the line as well. Looking for witnesses now in relation to an incident in Moville, Sean.
Yeah, this is Breda Glen, Moville. This is in the early hours of Sunday, the 21st of January. At approximately 1:10 a.m. that day, 2 men entered a farmyard. They They were checking farmyard buildings. They were disturbed and immediately left in the area. Nothing was stolen. But our appeal is for anybody who travelled in that area between 1:45 and 1 a.m. on that night who has dash cam footage, please make it available. Again, suspicious activity or vehicles, we ask people to make contact with us. We're particularly interested in sightings on dash cam footage of a white style transit van that may have been in the area. If you can contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 07493 20540. Again, the confidential line is 1800 666 111.
All right, okay. So a white van travelling in that area between any times at all, but midnight, 2 a.m. Gardaí, very interested in any information you might have. Now, your colleagues in Buncrana investigating a burglary in Culdaff.
Yeah, it's occurred at Dunross, Culdaff, between 7 p.m. on Saturday the 20th January and 2 p.m. on Sunday the 21st. So entries gained a shed. The lock was forced and a quantity of tools were stolen, namely Makita, a biscuit joiner, which is green and black in colour, an impact driver, also green and black, a number of batteries, a charger, and a Makita toolbox, and a drill, which is also green and black. Again, if anybody observed any suspicious activity in the area, if they can assist with any relevant information, please contact Buncrana on 20540.
And presumably that includes this type of stuff, quite distinctive, being sold on any, Facebook marketplace or anywhere else that sells stuff like that too. I mean, you can do your bit keeping an eye out in those spots as well. Exactly. I mean, it could well be being sold legitimately, don't get me wrong, but the Gardaí can investigate that, I'm sure. Criminal damage in Fulcara now.
Yeah, this happened at Ray and Fulcara in the early hours of Monday the 22nd of January, approximately 2 a.m. to 2:20 a.m. The number of windows of the house were smashed and damage caused to a couple of vehicles at the property. A man was observed causing damage, but he had his head covered. So we appeal to anybody who's in the area, again, dashcam footage, make it available to Gardaí, or any information, contact Gardaí Milford on 9153060.
And just to recap too, by the way, the Gardaí don't expect you to download the footage, to cut it and whatever. If you believe it caught something, you make it available to them. They download it and process it, so it's very easy for the dash cam. It's not a nightmare being created for you. They just access the data and then use it as part of their investigation. Okay, right, the Show Road now in Buncrana.
Yeah, this is an incident of criminal damage by fire. The Show Road, this occurred at the Leisure Centre on the Show Road, Buncrana, Thursday the 18th of January, approximately 6:10 p.m. and 6:20 p.m. So 4 males, 3 youths and 1 man were seen enter the building and left a short time later via the Alia Road in the direction of the railway road. The window being broken at the front door to gain entry, and a number of items were set alight in the pool. The fire was small and didn't get out of hands thanks to the fire service. So we appeal to anybody who travel in the areas of the Show Road, Alia Road and Railway Road between 6 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. That's on Thursday the 18th of January, who has dashcam footage to make it available. Some CCTV has been downloaded and is being examined at present. So we ask anybody who saw these males on foot or has any information, please contact Buncrana on 9320540.
Yeah, and this is a really small time frame as well. Thursday the 18th of January, 6:10 to 6:20, but Gardaí interested in 6 p.m. to 6:30. 3 youths and what appeared to be an adult male in that area. It should jump out to people. Now, I know the investigation is ongoing, but any further information, I'm sure, will be really, really useful.
Absolutely.
Okay, as I say, it's really quite specific stuff. Right, now, Downing's sheep missing.
Yeah, there's theft of 6 inland poly ewes from the Glebe area of Downings. This is between 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the 10th of January, and 10:30 a.m. on Thursday, the 11th. The ewes have a green tag on the shoulder and an orange keel mark. If anybody has any information in relation to this theft, please contact Milford on 53060.
Rightio. Now, we're talking about property being stolen and what have you, and Gardaí do, as part of investigations, do recover stolen property, and often the challenge can be then getting that property back to its owner, and having machinery and your stuff marked, very, very useful. Your colleagues in Ballybofey, they're holding a property marking event soon, aren't they?
That's right, Greg. On Monday, the January the 29th, at the Mart in Stranraer, it's between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. The property marking machine can be used on a number of surfaces, including metal, carbon fibre, wood and plastic. It uses a pattern of dots and makes it highly distinguishable. And like as you said, if we come into some property, it's easy to return to the owner then. This would be a good opportunity to permanently mark your trailers, etc., with your air code. and please ensure you have the correct air code. You'd be surprised.
Oh, unless you use mine, and then I'll just end up with a load of trailers and power tools. Okay. Right now, the ongoing recruitment campaign continues. As I say, it's ongoing, and there's an information evening taking place in Letterkenny. Is that right, or is it an information day?
Yeah, that's right. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Wednesday the 24th of January, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. It's in relation to the latest recruitment campaign. So we're happy to answer any questions you have. There'll be several trainee Garda there, so anybody who wants to ask them about the current training process. If any questions or about it, information we also found at www.garda.ie, or you can call the station if you have any queries. The closing date, the time for applications is February the 8th at 3 p.m. and you can apply on publicjobs.ie.
Yep, and there's more information there, and there's videos of the on the Garda website as well of or different places of what, say for instance, the physical element of it entails, and all this is in the context of people now 35 to 50 being able to apply to become members of An Garda Síochána. Right, to a couple of questions, and it kind of relates to this one. Lots of people maybe have convictions in their past, and they might be concerned, would that hinder their application to An Garda Síochána? What's the situation there? Sean, a listener wants to know.
Yeah, look, if you have a conviction, yes, you can apply for the Gardaí. Each application is dealt with on a case-by-case basis. Factors taken into consideration would be the length of time since your conviction, the seriousness of the conviction, and the amount of convictions you have.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Another listener says, I was recently a witness to an incident, but I don't want to come forward to give evidence as it may result in sort of bounce back issues for my family. Can I give details totally confidentially without ever being forced to give evidence in court? If I refuse then to give public evidence, is there a punishment? Because the person is torn between speaking up and saying nothing. And I think this comes up quite a bit, Sean, so interesting to get your answer here.
Yeah, look, if you do make a witness statement, you can be required to give evidence in relation to it. The option, if you want to give information anonymously, there's a Garda confidential line, and the number for that is 1800 666 111. You call, you leave a voice message on the answering machine, and in doing so, you're passing on the relevant information, but it's totally anonymous.
And I think there's maybe not a confusion, but different things here, because there are certain things, if you make an accusation or you witness something, for a successful conviction to happen, particularly if you're the only person that have witnessed it, well then obviously, you know, your witness testimony would be very critical in that. But in terms of passing on info that might be a part of a jigsaw to an ongoing investigation, that's where and if you don't want to get dragged into that, not that the guards would, but that's the fear people might have, that's where the confidential line comes in. You leave it and that's it.
Exactly.
A none. Right, you came up through the Polestar roundabout, didn't you?
I did.
It's a Buncrana manor. You wouldn't be that used to roundabouts, would you?
I sometimes go straight over them.
So a listener came in. You'll have a green light on the roundabout to go, and then you get a red light. So in other words, there's lights. This is what's different now. There's lights sort of around the roundabout. Do you have to stop in the middle of the road? Other cars come then, and the road is blocked.
Yeah, well, the signals, the Polestar roundabout share green time across 4 arms. So, and this is based on the volume of traffic at the arm at any time. So you may be required to stop at traffic lights at various points as you travel on or off the roundabout. So if you may feel you come to stop, you're blocking traffic, but you're not so long as you're in the correct lane. So we advise motorists, familiar yourselves with the layout of the roundabout and don't feel anxious about using it. The important thing is just obey the traffic signals. So if you're in the correct lane and you're following the lights, that's all you can do. And
I think the lights do account for people sitting on the roundabout.
They do.
If you know what I mean. Now, there's always going to be a case whereby, 3 vehicles, 2 of them might belong and the back end of one might be obstructing a little bit, but that is going to happen, and as I say, it does account for it. Being in the right lane, I think a lot of people still say, coming in the road you did in off the 4 lanes and then heading out the Remote road, they still tend, some people, to favour the inside lane there.
Yes.
Whereas as they come around that roundabout, they should be sort of easing towards their left to be on the outside lane there.
Yes.
So that's, right. I think, sometimes where confusion can come from. But listen, everyone's still getting used to it, Sean.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, listen, thank you very much for your time as always. That was a busy one. A big thanks to Garda Sean Sean Swinney from the Buncrana Garda Station. That's Community Garda information. There's a lot of information in there as well. It'll be broken down, of course, across our news bulletins. You can listen to it in its entirety again on our podcast, rewatch it on our Facebook page later, and on Garda Síochána's Facebook page a little later. And it will be back live with you next Tuesday after the 10 o'clock news.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Are you building, rebuilding or simply improving your home? Come along to Donegal's premier gathering of home building professionals in the Northwest. Donegal New Build and Rebuild 2024 will take place in the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny from Friday 2nd until Sunday, February 5th. Admission is free to this 3-day event. This ad is sponsored by McDade's Bathroom and Tiles.
Hello, you're through to Emily.
Hello, I'd like to organise my brown bin service, please.
No problem. What's your address?
You know the lane just after Carty Park? Yeah, about 5 miles down that.
Sure. From January 2024, every household in Ireland will be entitled to a brown bin service. Wherever you live, you can organise yours by contacting your current waste collector. Visit mywaste.ie to learn more, because you're never too remote to recycle. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles. Wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $8.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $11.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price January sale ends Sunday.
Making some changes this year? More exercise, eating healthier, new adventures. Then why not trade in and switch your old car for a brand new 241 Ford? Our January exchange event has exclusive deals on the Ford Kuga, Puma and Focus, including savings of up to €5,000 on selected Kuga, ST-Line or titanium plug-in hybrid models in stock. But get moving. Offer ends end of January. To find out more or to book your appointment with your nearest Ford dealer, visit Ford.ie. T's and C's apply at participating dealers until 31st of January.
Don't miss Nathan Carter live at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny this Sunday 28th. Doors open at 7:15 with support from David James from 8. Tickets priced €30. Available from hotel reception on Eventbrite or pay at the door. That's Nathan Carter live at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny this Sunday.
And a very good morning and thanks to your comments to Rosemary, Marie, Breed, Kathy, Elizabeth, Annie, Beth, Charlie, Stevie, Michael, Dolores, Marie. They're among the hundreds of you watching across our social medias. It's great to have you on board. And we are here too to pass on any information, cover any issues important to you. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts 0035386 60 25,000. Bert Bingo is cancelled tonight. Kathleen Grant in Burt was on to let us know. Is there a burst pipe in the Ramelton area? We've no water here. I'm not sure with the specific problem in the Ramelton area. I do know some of the water supply is dependent on an electricity supply, unless that's part of the problem. But if we find anything out, we'll let you know. Please pass along thanks to the ambulance service who drove through snow and ice on Friday to take me to Casualty. We take this service for granted. They had to walk a quarter of a mile to get to me. My house is not easy to get to. The crew were both brilliant. They don't get enough thanks. Thank you also to the taxi man who drove me home on Saturday, and I'm glad you're home and I hope you're feeling better. But yes, that's amazing. Above and beyond, isn't it, to walk a quarter of a mile to get to the property to see to that person. We are all thinking of the people whose houses were hit by lightning. We take everything for granted. Well, Debbie Nesbitt is with me now. Debbie, how are you keeping? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, yes.
Okay, your house...
Just managing.
Yeah, I'm sure, Debbie. Your house, which you owned, and your neighbour talked of how lovely a house it is, it was struck by lightning, and the house is pretty much devastated. Debbie, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty much ruined. Yeah, it was basically, I was in the house yesterday. I work from home, but, we didn't have any electricity until lunchtime, and the kids were off school because of no electricity, and then when the electricity did come back on, I had no Wi-Fi, so we weren't really working. I was in cooking, and I think I can only say it was like a bomb hit the roof. and like it shook the whole house. I went outside to see what had happened, and already the roof was on fire. I could see smoke and flames and slates flying off the house, and it was just like a nightmare. I just, straight away got the kids out and phoned for the fire service.
And as soon as the lightning struck, it obviously ignited the flame. It was instantaneous. You heard this bang, like a bomb going off, as you described. You go outside and already your roof is on fire.
Already it was on fire. The fire alarms were going off inside the house. I'd say, I could smell smoke straight away nearly. I went upstairs and then into my bedroom. We actually have stairs going up into, the attic space. It's sort of converted into a mezzanine and, en suites and stuff. And I could see flames up there already. And I thought, oh my God, we just need to get some stuff out. I thought, I couldn't think. I just needed to get the kids out. I have 3 children, and they're good age. They're 9, 13, and 15. So I just wanted to get them outside. So I got them out again. I think I might have phoned 999 a second time. But then my neighbour, Cass McDade, he came. He was maybe first in the scene, and he told me to calm down and think. And what did I need to get out of the house? So I started to think. Passports. I've got pictures of the kids when they were 6 months old, taken professionally, that are up in the living room. I took those down. Family photographs. I just started to get things that were important to us as a family, I guess.
I mean, in that moment, knowing that really you're just saving what you can save, and watching your home, which is clear you're very proud of, Debbie, going up in flames. I can't imagine what that must be like. Firstly, to go and retrieve what you can, but secondly, to stand there. And I know your kids are a bit older now, and to some extent that makes it more difficult for them because they can they have the emotions of what's happening. I can't imagine what that must have been like for you, Debbie.
Oh, it was just heartbreaking. It was just, I can't describe it. It was just heartbreaking. When the fire brigade landed from Derry, they were the first on the scene. They got in, but really I couldn't see much action. I guess, they were looking for a fire hydrant. They couldn't find that. I thought there could be one down at the Clonley Co-op or in Slee. I had no idea. Everybody was looking for a fire hydrant. They say they have a map of them in Northern Ireland, but they don't have any map of where they're located in the Republic of Ireland, so they didn't know. So to me, I felt that there was little action. I just seen my house burning down. But, I do know they were in there working at it as well, and they explained to me, there's health and safety reasons and everybody has to stay safe. And then later on, it was structural issues with the girder holding up the roof. It was fire damaged and unsteady, so obviously it was the safety of the fire service was paramount. But to me, I just stood there basically all afternoon and watched my house more or less burn to the bison slabs. And then what's on the ground floor is gone. It's devastated. It's all water damaged. It's gone.
Yeah, and I
have the clothes on my back from yesterday. I've got a coat from the neighbour. My neighbours were very good. Now, I have to say, a lot of the neighbours came, Gary and Paul and Finn and Martin and Dominic, and they all came and were asking me what do I need out. I couldn't think, I couldn't think.
No, of course, and how could you? And it's not just the pride in the property as well. It's all the memories and everything else that's intertwined, and the fear of what's next. The two of us work, full time. I actually work, a few different things. A lot of work has went in. Your house is your pride and joy. A lot of work has went into that. It's our family home. I moved into that house 2 weeks before my first child was born. It's just gone. I'm so sorry, Debbie. And now the work starts in terms of all wranglings with not wranglings, but dealings with insurance companies and all that to come. I mean, obviously there's 5 years now. Have you managed to think about where you're going to live? The house is completely unoccupiable, obviously.
It is. I don't know. I came to my mother's house last night, but we can't live here forever. You know, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't thought about that, to be honest with you, Greg. I haven't thought about that.
No problem, Debbie. Listen, I mean, obviously, again, thankfully no one is injured. God knows if this had happened tonight or something like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that being that, you still have watched your house go up in flames, and it's a massive inconvenience. And I do know there's some comfort from no one being injured, but I also understand that it's still a major thing. This is a huge event for you and your family, Debbie. And as you know, the community are there, and they were there, and they will be there. And we just hope that I've spoken to lots of people who've been affected by fires, and in time they get the house or the property back, and they can look back in a different way. But for now, you're living right through the middle of it, Debbie, and it's very hard, I presume, to see sort of the light at the end of the tunnel at this point.
Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. My middle child, Zach, he's 13. He's a severe haemophiliac. I was just thinking, might get his medication out, get that out. I just couldn't think straight. I really don't know what I'm going to do.
All right, Debbie. Listen, I won't delay you any longer. Listen,
but yeah, I just want to say thank you to all the neighbours who came along and helped yesterday. You know, I don't even know what sort of shape I was in, but yeah, thanks to the neighbours for helping and helping clear some of the stuff out of the house.
Okay, Debbie.
All the firefighters and everybody. It was, you know, yeah, everybody really pulled together for me yesterday.
All right, Debbie, listen, fair play to you. Thanks so much, and best wishes going forward in this what's going to be a difficult period of time. Thanks. That's Debbie Nesbitt there, whose house, as you heard there, was destroyed in Newton there, struck by lightning, and immediately went into flames, as you heard from Debbie herself there. Fair play to the neighbours and what have you. But listen, the thing that came from that conversation with Debbie, and it's a familiar story, unfortunately, access to water, fire hydrants. She was told that and we obviously also rely on the fire service from Northern Ireland. They don't have a map. They arrived at the property and it wasn't clear where the fire hydrant was. Now, I'm not saying that's added to anything here because obviously the fire took hold really, really quickly. But this is the third instance in a short period of time where the emergency services have been hindered by not being able to find fire hydrants, or B, not being able to access them. That's something we really need to sort of work on now before the next major incident. Why do the NI Fire Brigade, maybe it was just that unit or maybe it's across the board, why don't they have access to the fire hydrant map down here? Is there a map? And we certainly need to do a new map, a survey of where the fire hydrants are. Are they clear? Are they accessible? Because every second counts in these instances. So I think definitely need to look at that. Back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €14.2 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
At Electric Ireland, we're here to make your world brighter. All of our 1.1 million customers will see that come to life this winter, with a second price decrease across all residential electricity, gas and dual fuel bills. Good news for you, even better news for your bill. Electric Ireland, making your bills smaller and your world brighter. Second decrease effective from 1st March 2024. Applies to standard unit rate and standing charges. Visit electricireland.ie for further details.
It's the sale of the century at Milford Tiles. Unbelievable deals now on. 20% off all tiles and bathware in store. Free standard underlay with all wooden floors. Fitters and delivery service available. That's Milford Tiles. Big January sale now on. Call 083 091 0707.
Nettle Horse is musical, magical, very, very funny, and like myself, a wee bit odd. It's about a man selling edible beetles at a horse fair in 2028, and a woman who just got planning permission to build a pyramid. Nettle Horse by Little John Nee, Saturday the 3rd of February. Tickets at ungraining.com.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Rightio. So today will be wet and windy as Storm Jocelyn tracks to the northwest of Ireland. Very strong and gusty southwesterly winds will develop through the day with the strongest winds on coasts. There'll be widespread rain during the morning and afternoon, followed by scattered showers in the evening. So strong winds continuing for a time tonight with very strong and gusty south to west winds, southwest to west winds. They'll ease overnight. Okay, staying in this hour on crime appeals. Luke Ruddy joins me on the programme. Luke, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Just want to reiterate the information. You were the target of a crime, and we want anyone out there with any information to help solve it. So this happened Saturday night, Sunday morning. Is that right?
That's right, Greg. So a neighbour actually yesterday came forward and said that she actually seen a van at the road going into the workshop, between the hours of 11 p.m. and 11:30. So that was kind of the time frame now that's narrowed it down to, if you know what I mean. There was a transit van. There was two men involved. Going by the sounds of it, one man went in the van, driver, and then the other man he gained entry into the shade. Now, they caused a right bit of damage to the shade at the same time. They broke the front door and they gained entry into the lock, and then wrecked that door as well. Once they got into the lock, and then sure, that's where all the tools was. So the right bit of values worth nearly €1,500 worth going, Greg.
Word, of course. This is your workshop, by the way. This is in Dunross, Coldav. They were determined, weren't they? They had to break down a lot of doors to get in and access this shed.
They were determined, and as I say, whatever, they've sold €1,500 worth of tools, but there's maybe €500 or €600 worth of damage done to the doors. And then, when I went in on Sunday morning, I couldn't believe it. The place was just wrecked. There were fans on the floor, and they've actually broke the fan that pulls out the dust. That's nearly €300. And
my words!
Oh, it was just a pure wrecking scene, and. Jeez, you just don't need that. Not this time of the year, anyway.
No. So the Makita biscuit jointer, green, black in colour, an impact driver, also green, black, batteries, a charger, a Makita toolbox, a green and black drill. If anyone's seen anything or has been offered this property, please contact the Gardaí. I mean, are these the tools of your trade, Luke, or do you just do some handiwork for yourself around the place, or what?
And these tools are for my work. I would do kitchens,
Right, okay.
As I was saying to the guards, the batteries, the 4 or 5 batteries that's gone, well, the tools that's left in the van is pointless to me now, because 100%. You need the batteries to, for the rest of them. But, no, and I haven't even really fully assessed what there could be. A lot more smaller things gone. Definitely yesterday I did notice there's 2 boxes of sandpaper gone, and there's a couple of clamps. Now I know they're only minor things, but we've been just so busy trying to get the place secured again. We haven't even really fully assessed what is gone, if you know what I mean. But
everything that's gone has to be replaced, indeed. Listen, anyone out there who saw a white transit van acting in a suspicious manner, or actually, in fact, even in the area, from the guards give us the time of 45 minutes past midnight, effectively 1:45 and 1:30 a.m. on Saturday night and Sunday morning. This is a man's livelihood here that has been taken, his ability to do his work, and I think we've all an interest in passing on any information we have, Luke, to try and get this stuff back to you. The dream would be to nab them with the gear in the van so it could get back to you and they could get before the courts. But Luke, listen, any information people have, you're encouraging them to get in contact with you, the guards, the Garda Confidential line, whichever way it may be.
Definitely. And one other thing I would like to say, Greg, too, yes. Definitely a shade where it's at, and anybody that's been on to me since, like they said, it's not like it's local knowledge. There's somebody informing these gangs or whatever that's doing this robbery. If you don't, like, it's off the beaten track, somebody knows something, that kind of way.
That's the thing, Luke, was, when you talked about, when I talked about the stubbornness to get in, obviously you had the shed secured. They must have had some knowledge what was in there, that it was worth the risk to hang about and to go to the effort that they did, which is kind of concerning, an extra level of concern.
It is. So, no, there's definitely somebody out there, and as I say, it's local knowledge, definitely, and no, big time.
Luke, listen, hopefully someone has some info. Sorry with everything that you're going through, Luke. That's Luke Ruddy there. The tools of his trade stolen. And any information, please, to the Gardaí. You heard the appeal there directly from the man himself. Okay, 086 60 25,000. That's our WhatsApp, and that is our text number. News is on the way.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Enter the Virgin Media Playhouse for unbelievable value from Ireland's best broadband. Get 500 meg super fast, reliable broadband for just €35 a month for 12 months. And no activation fee when you act now. Switch in-store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media, it's playtime.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 12-month contract. 500 meg broadband. €70 thereafter. Ireland's best broadband awarded by Umlaut. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio, in association with Arena 7, where you can enjoy dinner and drinks in the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant before bowling in Arena 7's state-of-the-art lanes. See arena7.ie.
Keep out the cold, 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 and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Muff. Lousy bush. Strangle Willie. Legwee Fottrin, Duty's Bottom, Stripsy, Willie Rogue Island, Pullingtown, Terman Feckin, Killy Willie. Gowl. Over the years, not all our town names have translated beautifully from Irish to English, but they're still beautiful places to explore, especially in a Skoda. Skoda. Let's explore.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Call 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
If you have a job to do over the weekend, Watson Hire have a brilliant weekend hire deal available. Get any item on Friday, keep it until Monday, and only pay for 1 day's hire. That's 3 days hire on any equipment or machinery for the price of one. So there's no excuse to get the job sorted. To book, call Watson Hire in Letterkenny on 9167777.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local or Regional News Programme, the voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes.
That's right, folks. The national award-winning show. It's the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We've another hour to come on the show, including a chat with Minister Simon Harris, who was up in Donegal yesterday with a series of quite positive announcements, it has to be said. But first, let's get a news update at 11. And it's Good Morning, Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Over 60 separate power outages remain in Donegal, with 8,000 homes and businesses affected. Power restorations will be carried out today and tomorrow, with the longest estimated repair time scheduled for Thursday for around 800 premises. On today's 9 till noon show, ESB Network spokesperson Siobhan Wynne said they're working to restore power to all customers, but weather is having an impact. Gardaí are appealing for information following an incident in which two men entered a farmyard in Greta Bleda Gran, Moville, at around 1:10 on Sunday morning. They were checking farmyard buildings. However, once disturbed, they immediately left the area without having stolen anything. Gardaí are now asking those who travelled in the area and had dashcam footage to make it available. In particular, sightings of a white transit-style van are asked to be reported. A number of tools were stolen from a shed in Kildare on Sunday between 7 o'clock on Saturday evening and 2 o'clock the following afternoon. The lock of the door was forced open and entry was gained to the shed in the Dunross area. The owner says around €1,500 worth of tools were stolen and €600 worth of damage was caused. Gardaí asked those who observed any suspicious activity in the area to get in touch. 710 residential buildings were under construction in Donegal during December last year. In the 12 months prior, 613 new residential address points in the county were added to the Geo-Directory database. Donegal recorded a vacancy rate of 9.2% for December 2023, while the national average was 3.9%. And finally, Gardaí in Donegal are urging people to be vigilant after a spate of thefts and attempted car thefts. Incidents have happened over the weekend in Convoy, Rafo and Castlefin. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 12 o'clock.
OK, Donna Marie, thank you very much for that.
Changing habits around how we use electricity at home is more important than ever. And if the first change is a switch to a Flowgas smart meter tariff, you're off to a great start. With smart energy decisions, like avoiding peak usage hours between 5 and 7 p.m, the savings can make it really worthwhile. I'm Aideen Garrahy, and I'm changing my habits. See how I get on and discover more useful tips at flowgas.ie. Flowgas. Energy for everyone. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, a caller says, regarding respiratory problems, some people are unfortunately renting houses and they have to suffer in homes that are unsuitable. Of course, people are taking the mica victims into consideration, but there are other people who are renting and suffering with respiratory problems. The reason is that the landlords won't fix the house due to it costing them too much money. The poor tenant has nowhere to go, then as you can't find other accommodation or afford it. A landlord will not accept HAP if they're taking cash. Every landlord should be taking the HAP in Donegal, but a lot aren't, as they are operating with cash. They do have the right to go to the Regional Tenancies Board, but then there's a fear that they'll get kicked out. Renters aren't getting a fair deal. Is there more to be said about that? Let us know. 08660 25,000. That's 0860 08660 25,000. Now, you'd be very familiar if you're across the news of the case of John O'Meara. He won a Supreme Court ruling to get a widower's pension and says he was defending his family when he took the case. John, good morning to you and congratulations. I am sure this is very, very important to you on a number of different fronts.
Yeah, good morning, Greg. Yeah, this is amazing changes to my life. It means, I'm finally getting the recognition as a family, like every other family.
And what was your family circumstance? And maybe you could explain to the listeners then what sort of excluded you in the first instance from the widower's pension.
Yeah, myself and Michelle were both in a relationship for like just 20 years. We 3 kids, we had a house, we had a home, we were the same as any family. Apart from we were never married. We were both employed. Like when Michelle sadly passed away, I realised that things were different as regards to when it comes to to getting benefits and stuff. Like there was nothing there in place for someone in my position.
And then obviously whilst you're dealing with the loss of Michelle, but also of course managing the grief of your children, an awful lot going on, then you're sort of turned away from the state in terms of support. It's almost as if everything that you and Michelle had built together and worked together on was disregarded by the state.
Yeah, it's essentially that's what it was. We were always treated as a cohabiting family, a cohabiting couple. For tax purposes, or for if you were to claim any job seekers or do anything like that, you'd always be, you'd be means tested together on things. So like you were treated equal always in that side of it. But when it came to benefits such like the widow's pension. No, they were treated completely different.
And why was it so important for you to pursue this, John, as we mentioned, with everything that you would have been dealing with in any case?
It was important to me, because I just seen that it just felt wrong that, the state would treat families completely different on the basis of, of whether they were married or not. And it's also for the children of all the families are equal in my eyes, and to know that our family was just being looked down as not equal in the eyes of the state. It drove me to it, and it's just something I felt that needed to be done.
Yeah. And there's an awful lot of people that in that space aren't able to do that and just say, well, that is the way it is. We've fallen through the cracks. This is not just for you. Hopefully, John, this sets a precedent for other people in a similar situation, albeit something that might very sadly come to them into the future, or even maybe now they can get it looked at retrospectively. This wasn't just for you. Are you hopeful that this sets a precedent now for others, John?
Oh yeah, definitely. No, this is going to set a precedent for others. And like I had thought that myself. That's one of the other driving things behind this. Was I thought, someone has to do this. Like if someone had done this before me, I would never have had to do this. So yeah, and I didn't want. Look, it's nice to know that other people aren't going to end up in this situation again.
Right.
It's a hard road. It's a hard road to go down. And when you find out that there's no support in place for you. It makes that road so much harder.
And it's also, too, when you've got the state, your country sort of battling against you, too, it's kind of, it's demoralising. I mean, obviously you're up for the fight, but they're trying to argue that you're wrong, that you are different, that your family meant something else or was something else. It's kind of sad when you think that it's actually, this isn't sort of some big foreign corporation or a vulture fund or something. This is your own country that you're having to fight against.
Oh yeah, and it is really, really daunting, and it does make you feel bad, and you're being told this is it. You just have to accept it. I know, and it's a hard fight to fight, but we're delighted the way it turned out, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Listen, stay where you are, John. I'll say goodbye to you. I just want to bring Sinead Murray, Communications Officer with Trure. Now, it's the National Information Service for Unmarried Parents. And obviously, Sinead, welcoming this decision.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're absolutely delighted that John O'Marrick won the case yesterday. I mean, it's going to be really impactful in terms of cohabiting couples with children. We are also calling on the government, when they introduce the legislation to rectify John's situation, to include cohabiting couples without children, because there's lots of different family types in Ireland. And, we're introducing a referendum to expand the definition of family. We're talking about cohabiting couples with and without children, lone parent families. So why not take this opportunity and, protect these families in legislation as well as in the referendum?
Yeah, and I've raised a lot of questions sort of towards John about him, understandably, but it's also the children too, and the recognition that they receive, or are they different to other children, and if so, why? Clearly now the court has found that they shouldn't be treated as such, but this is about the treatment of children as well in this situation.
Absolutely. I mean, the court ultimately found that the equality article in 40.1 was to recognise that John O'Mara had a right, but also for children's rights, they're not meant to be discriminated based on their parents' marital status. And one of the things that the court had said was, that parents can decide not to get married, but a child can't decide what family they're born into. So it was really, really important that ruling came out to recognise that all children should be treated equally, regardless of any sort of parent or marital decision. And we'd be very supportive of that, and it would be ultimately what's in the best interest of the child, which, is why we had the children's rights referendum.
Do we have any evidence or knowledge as to how common this is? I suppose just in the course of the case or what have you, was it determined how many other families and individuals might be affected like John was, Sinead?
It's a little bit hard to know the specifics for John's case, but we have 150,000 cohabiting couples in Ireland, and there's 75,000 of those are with children. Now, there's specific things around John's case because of the age of himself and Michelle and the children. Like another woman we had who was supporting John's case, her children were grown up, so she wouldn't be entitled to it because she's therefore without eligible children. So even when John now has got this victory, she won't be protected, even though her partner passed away and she had to sell her home. And another example that we are hopeful would be protected as well would be Maria Doyle, who her partner passed away extremely suddenly, and basically she had to give up her job because she couldn't afford the childcare without this widow's pension as well. So, there are lots of cases around this, and if you include cohabiting couples that don't have children, it's quite significant. We'd estimate around 10 to 20,000.
So, finally, Sinead, if people are listening and they were declined the widower's pension or the widow's pension, what should they do next? Do you wait and see what this new legislation looked like, and if there's a sort of retrospective element to it? Do they make contact with the department, the relevant department, or social services? What do people do now? Would your advice be?
I'd advise them to speak to their local Intrio office about it. If it's a new application that they never applied before, or one that was retrospective since John's hearing, they could get in contact with their Intrio office. I would really recommend that. But also to give us a call, because we will have up-to-date information. We'll be following this very closely of how the legislation is passed and what it covers, and so we can give people really clear information on that. So our website is Troir.ie, TREOIR, or our phone number is 016700120. We're open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. So we'd really encourage people to reach out if they are struggling with this, because it is very complicated.
And very finally, I don't know how it happens. It seems to happen with every issue that this has sort of been, by some, seems to have been trying to put into debate of how important marriage is, or it should only be people who are married that don't get it, and people should be making that commitment before they get these entitlements. John, maybe you'll speak to that. Like, I don't really see the benefit of that type of debate. Have you seen any of that sort of activity on social media, and if so, any reaction to it?
Yeah, no, not as much. It hasn't been as much. It's. I don't think it's. I think just the wider public don't seem to have that view.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think so. Yeah,
and cohabiting is far more common now, and also people have to take into account, people cohabit now for a lot longer before they get married. Obviously for financial reasons, it's not as easy anymore to just run out and get married. So people are engaged, and for people are probably engaged for 3-4 years on average now before they even get married.
Well, this is typical of the sentiment coming in, and I'll leave it with this. Well done to John and his lovely family on this happy outcome. Seen them on the news. Great for an ordinary person to take this on. Bless him on his loss. And in all of this, the critical thing is obviously your loss and the loss of your beautiful partner, Michelle. We wish you the best of everything going forward, John, to you and the children.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Thank you, John. And thank you too to Sinead Murray, Communications Officer with Troir. And that was John O'Mara there. He won a Supreme Court ruling to get a widower's pension, and says he was defending his family when he took the case. So 8660 25,000.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Oh, Kira, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking...
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice, so if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie Massachusetts, come to Auntie Hannah.
Personal improvement deserves recognition. That's progress you can feel, and the very definition of the Audi 241 range. From the striking style and comfort of the enhanced Audi A6 to the era-defining iconic Audi A4 with Competition Edition. and the quietly efficient Audi Q4 e-tron. Electrified driving with no compromise. Test drive the Audi 241 range at an Audi dealer near you today.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of a butcher cutting through his costs. A tech company developing their sustainability plan. And a brewery getting production flowing nicely. It's all in a day's work for small businesses all across Ireland. So whatever your business, your local enterprise office is here to help you save time, money and energy. To see how, visit allinadayswork.ie. Brought to you by your local enterprise office and supported by Enterprise Ireland and the local authorities, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It is 16 minutes past 11. A listener says, in case anyone missed it, Bus Éireann has been criticised for curtailing its bus schedule in the west of Ireland during the recent cold snap. The curtailment had nothing to do with road conditions. It was due to electric buses failing to function due to cold temperatures. Perhaps Eamon Ryan will provide rural communities with huskies and sleighs in the winter. Yeah, indeed, we talked about that in the show yesterday, and the principal problem seemed to be that obviously cold weather can have an impact on battery power, but also when you put the heating on, I think the heating was an issue that once they put the heating on, it greatly reduced the miles that they could cover. Read the Micah houses. I think we need another big march and we will get behind them all. Paddy Diver started it and I salute this man who fought so hard to get resolutions for everyone. The government is not going to listen to anything anyone says because we are up here in a show, and shame on you all, especially the Housing Minister Dara O'Brien, who's too weak to come on air to speak to us all. Indeed, it still to this day baffles me that we had a multi-billion euro scheme that was announced, primarily affecting Donegal, though not exclusively, and the minister behind it, multiple of billions, didn't want to speak about it. Minister Harris, Simon Harris, is going to be on the show later. He announced, 10 or 15 million or something. Very keen to get on and talk about it, and yet we've got a multi-billion, multi-year scheme, and the minister responsible for it doesn't come on to talk about it, which I find really, to this day, continue to find it really quite remarkable. Okay, let us talk now. To our next guest. Sharon joins us. She's living in a defective concrete home, and good morning to you, Sharon. It's a lived nightmare for you. You know all about it, but I suppose when the weather comes to pass, everything's exacerbated. What was the last couple of days like for you?
Yeah, good morning, Greg. The last couple of days was just, in one word, horrific. No one slept. We were 100% sure that night that the house was going to come down. The noise of the roof moving, the windows and doors were like literally bulging in because there's that much gaps. I don't know, they're just held together by bits of stuff that my husband is trying to put in the gaps to secure it for as long as possible. It's just an absolute living nightmare. The house was that cold that night of the storm. It's cold normally, but it was worse because of the winds and coming in through all the gaps. People like ourselves heading to bed with blankets. There's no heating. It's just one word, is horrific. My heart goes out especially to the pensioners. My mum and dad is one of them, and I'm talking for everyone when I mean this. They are living in a defective concrete block home also. They're in their 70s and their houses, they literally shouldn't be in it at this time. Mm-hmm. They've nowhere to go because everyone in our family has the defective concrete blocks.
Unbelievable. Sharon, I was watching a video on TikTok, as it turned out to me, and it was a fella talking about air getting in through air vents and getting down into your cavities, and I was looking and I was thinking, my word, if that's all you had to worry about during the storm, no disrespect for him, but I mean, you can't heat your house, the noise, the creaking, the cracking, the fear that it can fall, it just must be a living nightmare.
It's an absolute living nightmare. People's mental health is, I would say, not even deteriorated. It wouldn't even be a word you could use. And then with the storms, then their fears heightened. they're living in absolute, every one of us are living in absolute fear with the possibility of the house coming down on top of us. And as I say, with the storms, it's worse. I just don't know now. We're given another storm supposedly coming tonight. I don't know if we can stand another storm with all the battering. I just don't know where it's going to end. I just hope that a house doesn't come down on top of someone.
But you see, the thing is, Sharon, it's, we've been talking about this for a long time. It's pure luck that someone hasn't been severely injured by a falling house or a falling element of a house. It's only luck. It's inevitable that it's going to happen. That's what's so bloody worrying.
Yeah, as I say, it's heightened with the storms, and it's definitely only a matter of time before something comes down. Because, for example, even to close a door in our house, like if you close it out and you have to actually slam the back door now because it doesn't close right, you can actually feel the house vibrating.
Karen, we're looking at these cracks in the video that you posted. I know you talked about it a little earlier on. Can you talk about that? That's effectively the house parting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's upstairs in our house is a no-go area. It has been now for a long time. The children, we moved them downstairs. They're in the sitting room downstairs. You couldn't even sleep in that room because the gap is, you literally could slide your hand into the gap because the roof has raised. It's pulling. The house is just being pulled in every direction. And there's no way. I don't even know how the house is still standing. And I'm speaking for a lot of people around this area, never mind further on. I don't know how. And again, people too also that have paid money and built holiday homes, and they can't even, they had to do the outside skins for the fear of their house coming down. And it's just unbelievable. And, I keep saying this, anybody that doesn't believe how bad these houses are would need to come down, stay a night, and experience.
I don't think they would. I'd say, especially with the bison floors and with a roof potentially. I don't think they would. I think they'd have a look at it and go, "Look, I get it now. I'm out of here." But you don't have that luxury to get out of there, in inverted commas. Is the scheme anything to you? Is it accessible to you at all, or are you waiting to see if it's enhanced or improved, or as some would say, actually 100%, or maybe you're in the process? I don't know, Sharon.
Well, we're. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's Greg. The question.
Yeah, we're in, we are in the scheme. We're just waiting to see if it becomes an enhanced scheme. But the problem is, you see, with this scheme, is you need to have money up front to be able to start because, if you get contractors in and you start off, you have to pay them. I just don't know what way it works. Obviously, whenever they start work, you have to send in invoices and stuff, and we just don't know yet. But you still need money up front, and a lot of people having to go and try and get a mortgage again or a loan, especially for older generation, it's going to be impossible for them to get a loan to start off their house.
Even if you're a family in your 40s or something. Not all of us have access to the type of credit that we're talking about here. That's simple. There's an awful lot of people that don't have the income to get an additional loan on top of a mortgage or what have you. I mean, that is just a fact. And then, why should you? Are you going to get it recouped? Is everything going to be covered? Sharon, listen, thanks for helping us understand the reality of what you and others are living. Just one question. If you were able to make it work, I think you referenced this a little earlier on, to get out of that house, is there anything locally that's rentable or affordable, like in terms of those options outside of family and friends who have their own defective issues to deal with?
See, the problem is, and again, in our area alone, there's very little houses for rent because majority of them have the defective concrete blocks.
That's it.
I mean, nearly every second house in our area has it. So the rental is just so hard to get. Yeah. I don't know how any family, you know what I mean, a lot of families are going to have nowhere to go, and that's the problem. And again, I'm talking for even for my mum and dad in their 70s, where do they go? They don't want to leave. They're at the age where they should be sitting back and enjoying life, but instead of uprooting and trying to get them somewhere where, I mean, even out of my area, I don't know, you know what I mean? They're not going to go.
Yeah, okay. Listen, Sharon, thanks for helping us to keep highlighting this. I really appreciate it with everything you're going through, okay? And hopefully tonight just isn't as bad. But even as the storm might happen, something might not be falling down, but the water's getting in there deeper, and more damage is being caused. And we've seen people can tell from one winter to the next how their house is worsening. So we wish hope you're safe as can be, and hopefully we get some more calmer weather. It's crazy. It's crazy. Thank you so much for helping us speak about that. Kate, hello there, Kate. You're in the Malin area. How are you keeping?
All right, Greg. Thank you for letting me come on.
No, it's really important that we are your platform to be able to do this. Talk to me about your situation.
Well, basically the same as Sharon there. Our house is fallen down. It's been condemned. We on Sunday the same put the children to bed at 8 o'clock. My little girl, who's 9, has already severe anxiety over the house falling down, because visibly she can see it. You know, when she's outside, there's not just the cornerstones are missing from our house, but the whole block. There's bits of blockwork actually missing, and it falls down, and then my husband would patch it back up again. So she can visibly see that it's actually crumbling. Her nightmares that she has is of our chimney coming down into her 2 sisters' room, and she has had a nightmare that she has to be digging through the rubble to get them out. That's her reoccurring nightmare that she has, on her fear. Now, on Sunday, we put them to bed, so it was around 8 o'clock, and at that time it was bad, but it wasn't, you know, it was okay, and we were thinking, yes, it might not be as bad as what they're actually going to say. But then by 10 o'clock, 10:30, she was up. She was hysterical. The noise of the whole corner of the house, Greg, like a big, huge chunk of blockwork fell out on to where her bedroom is. So she heard the smash when she was like in her room. So she's up. She was hysterical. She had her wee bags packed. She was leaving. She wanted to go down to her granny and granddad's. Now, you know, we have gone to Richard's mother and father's before in the storm, but, you know, to uproot your children every time there's a bit of wind, you know, it's so... I have 5 of them living at home at the minute, and so 10:30 we had 2 cars packed, everything in it, kids, the dog, everything. Then we had to make the drive from Malin to Cairn, which was absolutely horrendous, with trees and bits of things driving on across the road. You know, it was...
Can I just re-emphasise that, just to make sure that the listeners fully get this? So we've got a family, Kate and her family, in a house that is so structurally unsound, and people are so afraid that the better of the 2 options is to load a car and travel, as you recognise yourself, in a red weather warning. That's how bad it is that you've had to make that decision, that, right, what is the lesser of 2 evils
11 o'clock
here?
at night.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And 11 o'clock at night, and it was... And then I was thinking, why did we do this? We would have been... But when we got out when me and my husband were actually packing the car, there was bits of debris blowing for... I had to move my car away to the other side of the house completely. Then we also had to knock on to our neighbour's door and tell him that, look, if that house falls in the middle of the night, we are not in it, so don't be, you know, like, it's because this whole side of the noise that comes in, it's horrendous, actually. You'd need to be here in a mica house, living in it. It's an absolute nightmare with the noises. The windows don't close, the door, the noising and the banging, and the blocks literally falling off your house onto the street. It's horrendous.
Just to reiterate, it's 2024 here. We've had a scheme out for years, and then this new enhanced, listen, it's 100% scheme. That's what we were told. 2024, and we've got a family here in UK with your kids, and in this house that has been condemned. The house has been condemned, and you're fleeing the house in a storm for fear of it collapsing down on your children. This is 2024 here. Let's not forget. And in terms of
coming back.
Go ahead, Kate.
Sorry. coming back yesterday, my children, then it was like 2 o'clock in the morning before they settled into bed, especially my youngest one, and she felt safe in her granny's house, and we were lucky to have that option to go there. But coming back up the drive yesterday, I was actually dreading to what I was coming up to see is our home. And I looked in the back of the car and she had her fingers in her ears thinking, and she goes, is it okay? And I had to leave them and walk around the house to see if I could take them back into the house. And I don't know the impact that storm's had on our house, whether it's going to be standing, whether the whole side of it's going to be gone. But we cannot afford to stay in the house because it's just so dangerous. It's awful.
Now, we try and protect our children as best we can, and lots of us have gone through very difficult situations where you try and manage their mental well-being, tell them everything's going to be all right, keep them as safe and sound as you can. The problem when you live in a defective concrete block home is there's reminders everywhere. It's all around you. What can you say to 5 children going to bed? Can you say everything's going to be all right? The house is not. You can't actually. I mean, you can try your hardest, Kate, but you can't protect them emotionally for this devastation that's around them.
When they hear the actual from the cornerstones, most of my cornerstones have gone now, so it's actually the blockwork that's actually fallen down. So when they hear that thud, they can hear it. So they can hear that, and it was a huge big piece that's come out of the corner of the house. So she heard that. So it's not like they were saying it's going to be okay. So how do you tell your children, oh, it's all going to be okay? So there's bits of your house blowing around the street, but we're safe in this house. So they know that's not. So.
Look, your house is condemned. You're stuck on the scheme. What about alternative accommodation around you?
No, Greg, there is no. I feel so strongly that the government are not letting this scheme be accessible to people here and in the Shone because we have nowhere to go. There is no affordable accommodation. Here we have been inundated with refugee families that have taken up lots of accommodation, right? Now, that makes it impossible for people like us to access the scheme, so we are stuck in a rut. We are stuck in our house. We cannot get out of our house. So we have got planning permission in now. We're at the stage where we have planning permission for our house. But when that planning permission comes back to us, we have nowhere to go. We have nowhere, so we have to wait until we either build a shed next to our house, get a caravan, or stay in the house because there is no houses in our area. I rang up about maybe 2 months ago to a local estate agent, and it was like something extortionate, nearly £1,000 a month to rent a house, like.
And this is where people with no issue with refugees or asylum seekers.
No issue,
but this is where the problems arise in terms of how it makes people feel.
I'm just wondering.
There's no local accommodation because it's being used for these people. Which again, I'm not pitching one group against another. But this is where the anger comes from because you're stuck in the house with your kids, and the house could come down on you, and you have no alternative, no options, and it feels like you're being abandoned by the government, does it? Yep.
Yes. The reality is, why did our government send so many refugees to Donegal, especially to Inishowen, right, where we are already in a crisis up here? Because the reason they don't even accept that we are in a crisis in Donegal. So they have sent all these people up here to us, and we cannot access the scheme now because there is no accommodation for us. So people are waiting and waiting to get accommodation. There's families living in caravans. There's families living in sheds. It's absolutely disgraceful, Greg, that this is actually happening. We're going to be homeless. People are going to be homeless.
Effectively, you are homeless if the truth be told. I mean, you're squatting in a house that's not fit to be lived in. Yeah. It is your own house. I hope you understand the language that I'm using. Yeah. But that is what you're actually doing. You're sticking it out in a house that your engineer has condemned. In terms of the scheme, as much as you can determine now, Kate, if the wheels started moving, is it 100% for you and your family?
No, it's not 100%. No, not at all. For us to rebuild, like we have, our house is like 2,700 square foot because we had 8 children. We built our house in 2003, and we built the house for our family. It's not like we built an extortionate house just to have a.
You don't have to defend the size of your house. You've worked very hard to build your house, there are advantages to living here that sometimes the house can be a little bit bigger. We don't need to. I get where you're coming from, and I understand why you might feel you have to explain that, but you don't. It's your house, and you've worked really, really hard for it, and it's falling down through no fault of your own. So whatever the house is, it should be returned as is. But go on, Kate.
So we still have, like I said, we still have 5 of our children at home. So we still need, like, the same size house would be, we still need it. We still need the amount of living space that we have. So for us now, the big question was you have to downsize. Everybody's downsizing, and, like, some people can't afford to downsize. Like, if you have so many children at home and you need your living space, you like I said, we built our house in 2003 with that in mind, that we had a bigger family, and for us now, we don't know what's ahead of us. Okay. We've put our plan permission in for the same size house we have, and we'll just have to see, like, our architect and everything that they're saying, that with this current scheme you're going to be out. It's not going to cover your.
But also, let's not forget that there was some calls, whether it would suit you or not, Kate, for penalty-free downsizing, that you could use the maximum grant available and build a house that's somewhat smaller, and that was rejected. They says no. So your only option really, if you want to get the maximum grant, is to rebuild the house as is. Kate, I'm sorry with everything that you're going through. I hope you get through tonight okay. I hope people who need...
sorry, Greg, just before you go.
All right. Go ahead.
As well as that, right, not just about the storm, the health impact on my children living in this house with mould. They're on nebulizers, constant steroids, constant antibiotics, okay? Time off school. This is a bigger picture than just, like, fleeing from a storm or whatever. This is a whole impact on we are living in terrible conditions here, and to make it worse, we're paying for living these conditions, and this nobody realises, only the people that actually live, that what the impact it's having on children's health, the amount of times they're off school, because they're on steroids, antibiotics, and nebulizers, and diagnosed with asthma on top of everything else, all because of your living conditions.
It's terrible, Kate. So listen, thanks for your time. Thanks for helping us.
Okay, thank you.
And that's I really wanted someone to explain, as difficult as it is, the health impact on our children living in these houses. I want a study or something done so that it gets the same coverage as the awful plight of those families in Dublin. This is, as you quite rightly said, the untold story. Thanks so much, Kate, and I wish you nothing but what can you wish someone in that situation? That it's resolved?
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Is that the new Opel?
Yes, of course.
Does it really look that good?
Yes, of course.
Is it fun to drive?
Yes, of course.
Is it packed with smart tech?
Yes, of course.
Can I test drive it right now at Manor Motors Opel?
Yes, of course.
The new Opel Corsa, now available. Hybrid and electric coming soon. See manormotors.ie for details.
We often make New Year's resolutions involving healthy eating, only to then break them. Well, at Kelly Centra, they've put together some easy, healthy eating tips, like keeping an eye on your saturated fat intake. It's often tough to cook up a convenient meal that ticks all the health boxes, so why not check out Kelly's range of ready meals, many low in saturated fats and high in flavour. Healthy eating tips from Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Imagine Broadband's January sale is here. Grab Grab our Hero high-speed broadband package for just $49.99 per month. Act fast. Sign up before January 31st to enjoy a massive €180 in savings. Head to imagine.ie or free phone us on 1-800-938-407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Subject to location and availability. Minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full terms and conditions.
Sailor Bill returns to the Ballard Theatre on Saturday the 3rd of February, a night of music and crack with special guest Chelsea Evans. Tickets are €15, are available on the Ballard website at ballardartcentre.com or by calling to the Ballard Theatre front desk.
Hamilton is coming to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre on Monday 21st of October 2024. This hugely popular musical is almost sold out, but here at Highland Radio we've got you covered. We include luxury transfers, overnight stay at the 4-star City North Hotel Dublin, your ticket to the show and a shopping trip to Dublin the next day. To book, simply call us on 074 9125,000 or visit the outlet at highlandradio.com.
Okay, for some people, the storm has taken everything with another on the way. Ciara from LK Hair Design joins us. Ciara, how are you getting on?
Hello, Greg. How you doing? Thanks for calling.
Oh, no, it's important. And sorry for holding you there. I do appreciate your patience there. Your business, I mean, obviously you've got a really loyal clientele who will be sharing the heartache for you. Your business effectively wiped out. The premises, sorry. So, I mean, I don't want to...
The premises, yeah. No. Yeah. And I suppose before we go on, after listening to that lady and stuff, and, after everything digesting over the last 24 hours and stuff, I am very grateful that it is the business. It wasn't the house. And no one was hurt, so I have to be very grateful for that. And I'm very conscious of everything that happened in Newton yesterday as well. So, but I have two businesses, and to be honest, they are like my fourth and fifth babies, really. I love my businesses. So, no, LK Hair Design. So, third lockdown, my lease was up in the premises in Letterkenny, and I decided to change it up and I put a log cabin at the house. So didn't just pick any random log cabin, researched it, made sure that everything was proper and not just a wee flimsy thing. But so great job. Everybody loved it. And Sunday night then, unfortunately, just whatever way Stormisha was blowing, she just got right in under and just lifted the roof clean off.
I mean, there is nothing left but the four walls there.
No, and in fairness, now the video that I put up was after my husband had managed to, salvage some things. So, he was actually working on night shift, so it was just myself and my youngest daughter. She's 16, and I'll tell you, she was a wee trooper. She was just brilliant. So we were sitting in, and in fairness now, we were kind of waiting for the red, but thinking to ourselves, this feels like a red before it was supposed to be the red. And I joked at one stage, and I said, I'm afraid to look out in case my cabin's gone. Just joking. And then when I did eventually look out, then it was just, oh my God.
Yeah.
But my husband was on, he worked shifts, so he was actually on nights. And again, by pure luck and chance, I managed to get hold of him before the power went out and before our phone lines went down, because they were out for, I'd say, over 24 hours then. It was last night before we got any power back.
I mean, obviously, Ciara, you talked about the hairdressers being, the premises being like one of your children, but also your clients too, the loyalty that's there and what have you. Do you have another premises that you're able to accommodate them, or was this the only area that you were that was the hair salon?
Well, that is the hair salon, yeah. So now, in fairness, I have a lot of lovely hairdressing friends that have reached out to offer me chairs in their salon, and other people that are offering me, units and stuff that they have in storage and that. So I'm so grateful for that. But as I say, even yesterday, my head was just... I couldn't even go there yesterday. It was just a matter of trying to work through the stuff that we managed to get out of the salon. And then, just, I suppose, get my head around the whole thing. But it was so scary. Yes. It's just, you know, as I was saying yesterday to my husband, like, you watch the TV and you see these storms in America and different places, and you actually can't, you have no idea, you can't appreciate what they actually go through. You know, we sit there and go, oh God, that's terrible.
Until it visits your
when
own
I
door.
was out trying to salvage, when I was outside trying to salvage some things, like, it actually took your breath away. I couldn't even breathe. It was just the force of it. I've never experienced anything like it in my life.
And
it was
unfortunately,
horrific.
I mean, obviously you had your public liability insurance and all that kind of stuff, but log cabins, by their nature, are hard to get insured, so you have to sort of rebuild this back yourself. It just in a minute, Ciara, what's the plan, or any message for your clients? I know you've got your social media and you've reached out all to them, but what's the situation for you going forward now, Ciara?
Yeah, well, I will be in touch with everybody individually. I just kind of put out a general message, but I will be in touch with everybody individually. But hopefully, between all the offers and everything, I will get everybody sorted. At the minute, I'm only working Fridays and Saturdays anyway, because I was actually in an accident a year and a half ago. So my hand is still not 100%, so I've only been able to work Friday, Saturday. So in a way, that's lucky enough too that I have time now to get organised. But like, as far as the cabin goes, I don't think it's repairable. But look, it's as I say, it's only a piece of equipment, and it can be replaced.
But still, I know, and you're so kind in thinking of what other people have been going through in the stories we've heard, but this is also your thing as well, and it's all very subjective, and we appreciate your kind words for others, but it's a really big deal for you too, and a big loss, Ciara. Listen, thanks very much for joining us, and hopefully I'm sure you'll get back up fully functioning really, really soon. That's Ciara from LK Hair Design. We'll be back after the break with a chat with Minister Simon Harris.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
If life's moving too fast, why not soothe tired muscles in the lava sauna? Enjoy some bubble therapy in the hot springs garden. Purify body and mind in the salt steam room. Swim by starlight in the outdoor pool. Surround yourself with nature and reach peak relaxation in the forest garden. Aquasana Longford Forest. Indulge yourself with a spa day or spa break at our award-winning destination spa. Visit aquasana.ie.
iMotors are your main Nissan dealership in the Northwest, a trusted Japanese brand for generations. Contact iMotors to find out why people who make the move to Nissan never change. To check out our 2-for-1 offers, visit imotors.ie.
Are you building, rebuilding or renovating? What heat pumps or solar panels would suit your build? Come along and speak to the experts, Efficient Renewables on heat pumps and solar panels. Get advice on installation and grants available. Efficient Renewables will be at the Home Build Rebuild event at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny from the 2nd to the 5th of February. See you there.
Mr. Blue Sky, tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €14.2 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Do you work in the water utility sector? SafeTech are running EUSR electrofusion welding on the 24th and 25th of January and butt fusion welding on the 26th of January. Certification is accepted by Irish Water and all programs are part funded. Contact SafeTech today at safetech.ie or call SafeTech on 074 912 7786.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
So, Minister Simon Harris, Minister of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science. Talk to us about the significance of this announcement, or these announcements, I should say, for Killybegs and the ATU in Letterkenny.
Yeah, look, I was delighted to be in Killybegs and Letterkenny yesterday for a series of announcements. Maybe first in relation to Killybegs, I went there to announce two things. Firstly, that campus will now provide for electrical apprentices from next September. This is something that has been long sought after, is much needed in the area. But crucially, it will also bring 190 apprentices into the Killybegs campus. So in terms of footfall in the campus, in terms of footfall around the town, it's going to be a very, very significant increase. It will provide opportunities for local employers to be able to access apprentices, and also for local people to be able to take up an apprenticeship without having to travel. The second announcement we made is in relation to Killybegs and other smaller regional campuses. We announced a fund yesterday of €4.5 million to support universities who have multi-campuses, because the cost of running them can be more expensive. You still have to provide the library and the student services, smaller classes, and with that comes cost. So of the 4.5 million, 2.6 million of that will go to the Atlantic Technological University, and they will obviously decide the proportions, but Killybegs will definitely benefit from that. So that was the Killybegs element of the trip.
And just focusing on that, sorry if you don't mind, Minister, just focusing on that, it is not that long ago people might remember that there were question marks over the future of that campus. Like, we have to go back some time, but this clearly, obviously, is a commitment to its future.
We look very much so, and I was very conscious in visiting yesterday of exactly what you say, because I remember when we established the Atlantic Technological University, I think it's fair to say there was great excitement in the region, but there was also a little bit of nervousness as to what would this mean for some of the traditionally smaller campuses. I gave a commitment then that they would have a bright future. I need to deliver on that, and the apprenticeships is a big part of it. And to be very honest, Greg, from my visit yesterday, I get the sense the Killybegs campus is only warming up here. I mean, they have a very proud record when it comes to culinary courses. Now they'll have electrical apprenticeships, and yesterday they were already making presentations to me about what next they want to do in plumbing and pipe fitting, and I'm sure you and your listeners know they've also received funding to develop an Ocean Innovation Centre, which they hope to submit planning permission for in the next couple of months. Because, look, it's very obvious to everybody in Donegal, it's very obvious to me when I visit the whole marine industry there, and the potential for skills and courses to support local business is huge. So it very much has a bright future. I want to spend some more of our taxpayers' money on finishing the building. They've done an incredible refurbishment job of what is quite an old building, but very modern now. But there's a little bit more they want to do on the top floor, and I'm looking forward to getting an application from them for that as well.
You know, and of course, we need more houses. We need skilled labour. We need labour to build those houses, and we need different skill sets. I mean, the last couple of days has proven that we need people that can do different things, such as keep power coming to homes and that type of thing. It's I think it's most welcome, and most people listening would agree that we're talking about, you know, not just the IT sector and people going into education in that direction, but also having opportunities to grow what they're good at in different sort of skill sets.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we have a huge shortage of people working in what are traditionally known as the trades and the crafts, and we need to fix that. We need more people to build our homes, to retrofit our homes. As you rightly say, the storm, and I know that Donegal was badly hit, I want to thank everyone who worked so hard to restore power and the like. It's absolutely key. We support some of those traditional crafts and trades. But it's also important that I, as Minister, don't just look at the headline number. Like, we saw more people registered as apprentices in Ireland last year than ever before, a historic number, nearly 9,000 new apprentices. However, behind that number is another reality, that sometimes people are having to travel too far to become an apprentice. Sometimes businesses say, well, there aren't any apprenticeship courses in my community. And that's why I'm really taken by the idea of looking to facilities that we have in places like Killybegs and others to see how can we actually put apprenticeships in locally, so that local people don't have to travel, don't have to experience the cost of travelling, and also so that local businesses can avail of that skill set.
And you had further announcements yesterday.
Yeah, I went on to Letterkenny then to the Atlantic Technological University campus there, and I said three things happened there. The first, we opened a new biomass heating centre. Now, I don't know how good you are in the technical detail. I certainly had to learn a lot, but I was absolutely blown away by this. This is an investment of about 1.9 million in a biomass centre, and what it basically means is they're using wood chip to heat 80% of the main building of the campus. It is an absolute leadership project when it comes to how we can make our university campuses green. They will reduce their carbon emissions by 24%. I think a lot of times when people hear about climate change and climate action, they kind of sometimes worry that politicians are lecturing them or it's all doom and gloom. What we've actually seen in Letterkenny, and huge credit to the ATU and all those involved, what we've seen in Letterkenny is, for relatively small investments, from government, they can now, as I say, heat 80% of the main building of their campus using renewable wood chips and cut their carbon emissions by 24%. So it was an absolute honour to open that yesterday, to talk to people who'd been involved in the project, to talk to representatives of the Chamber of Commerce. And we then had the signing of two agreements, one between Atlantic Technological University and Ulster University. And you and I have talked about this before, that I just think there's huge opportunity for collaboration in the Northwest between Derry and Letterkenny and Derry and Donegal. We now obviously have the university in Letterkenny. We have the university in Magee. We, the Irish government, are investing 44 million in expanding the Derry campus. And we want to just see, I think as people in your region do, we just want to see people working together in a practical way. They've signed an agreement yesterday in my presence to put in place joint programs, to develop maybe joint awards, and also to put in place opportunities for students and staff to go on exchanges between the two universities. A lot, in fairness, has happened in this space already, and I suppose yesterday they just formalised that agreement. And then there was also an agreement signed with the HSE. One of the big challenges I have as Minister is I want to keep on expanding the number of places in healthcare, training more nurses, more speech and language therapists, occupational therapists, paramedics, all the things we need. But for every college place I create, we need to then obviously have a matching clinical placement within the health service. So the agreement yesterday was a commitment from the HSE to work with ATU on clinical placement pathways, and also to develop that ATU would develop new programs to help people who work in the health service upskill and reskill in a way that works for them. So it was a busy day, but I have to say I was really
impressed. All very positive in terms of development, and I suppose that's the ice cream, and we kind of have to get on to the veggies now in terms of, we need accommodation with the success of the ATU in Letterkenny and indeed Killybegs, and we need, houses that people can live in, to live and work hopefully in this region. Look, we'd never begrudge anyone if they want to go and spend a year or 2 years in another country to grow themselves, but we do need people to be able to see their long-term future here. And I suppose at this point you have to look to your ministerial colleagues, and they have to really fast-track the delivery of that type of stuff. But firstly, just in relation to student accommodation in and around Letterkenny, what is the situation there in terms of the ATU being able to provide its own accommodation, borrow money to do so, or what other plans are there?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me that, because I met the Students' Union in Letterkenny on this yesterday as well. I got a government agreement last Tuesday that we would finally allow the technological universities submit plans to build student accommodation in the regions. People may have seen last week we pressed go on a number of major student accommodation buildings, but truthfully they were all in Dublin or Kildare, and that's not because we're favouring Dublin and Kildare, it's because they had planning permission and were ready to go. I'll be writing to all the technological universities this month, including ATU, and asking them to submit their proposals for student accommodation to my department by the end of March. I want the technological universities to now submit plans, tell us what you can do, tell us what you can do in Letterkenny, and in terms of ATU, tell us what you can do in Sligo and Castlebar and Galway as well. And I know they have plans and ideas in that space. So I spoke to your Students' Union in Donegal yesterday on this, spoke to the management of ATU, and I really look forward to receiving those plans. And I now have a government decision as of last week that we will then look to provide funding and mechanisms to deliver these projects. It is key. I do agree. It is key to their success, because yes, I met a lot of local people studying in ATU yesterday, which is great. Local people able to access university in their region. But I also met people from all over the country. I remember talking to one young student yesterday from Cork. I don't want the ATU just to be about Donegal people studying in Donegal. Of course I want that, but I also want it to be about other people from other parts of the country saying, well, that course up in Donegal there is one of the best in the country. I want to come to Donegal to do that. And that has a huge economic benefit for the region, but it does require accommodation. And last week was a very important step on that road.
Okay, Minister of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, Minister Simon Harris, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Good morning, Greg.
And that's where we have to leave it. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin's coming up around the Northwest.